Chapter 459. Fei Duan fell. The painful moans were like that of a little girl who had been defiled. Weak, helpless, and a little aggrieved. My gu will re. Fei Duan's teeth were broken, and there was still a little air leaking when he spoke, but Naruto understood. What he said was, "I won't do it." However, another cold and ruthless voice came from the left hand. "I'll help you repair your body first, then continue." Then Naruto saw a surprising scene under his perception barrier. The black tentacles turned into silk threads and spread to the injured part of Fei Duan, fusing with the damaged cells of Fei Duan's hand. The injured part of Fei Duan recovered faster. Was this helping Fei Duan repair his body? But it looked more like Kakuzu was invading Fei Duan's body. "What are you doing?" Fei Duan also noticed the situation in his body. Kakuzu replied, "I'm fusing my body into yours. This way, you'll be able to control me more easily. At the same time, your physique will also become stronger." Truth. When Fei Duan's body was repaired, Naruto found that Fei Duan's physical reaction ability had indeed strengthened. Left. 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 3 snowballs flew to Fei Duan's left side one after another, and Fei Duan dodged nimbly, smashing a few with his sickle tentacles from time to time. Left. He shouted to the left, and the right attacked. The snowball, which was supported by the wind attribute chakra, shot over at an extremely fast speed. Fei Duan controlled a sickle tentacle and successfully intercepted it. "Wahahaha! You can't reach me!" Fei Duan was very proud. The corner of Naruto's mouth cracked open, revealing his big white teeth. "Then I'll add a little more." Chakra in Naruto's hand surged. The wind attribute made a snowball, the water attribute poured, and then, the wind attribute cut inside. A snowball flew out faster than before, but Fei Duan was still very confident and controlled his sickle to slash it. But this time, the snowball wasn't broken, but dozens of ice cubes burst out and shot at Fei Duan's face like scattered bullets. Several of Fei Duan's newly grown teeth were broken again. Naruto did not stop attacking. Taking advantage of Fei Duan's panic, dozens of snowballs were formed in an instant, and then smashed over. His flying segment had once again suffered a comminuted fracture. This time, it was all over his body. Naruto once again observed the fusion process of Kakuzu's cells and Hiden's cells with the perception barrier. "Come again. I think you can still do it." Seeing that Fei Duan's body was repaired, Naruto raised his hand and a snowball appeared in his hand. Fei Duan shook his head repeatedly and said, "Not coming, not coming. I think I should eat something since I've used up too much energy." Kakuzu said, "You do need to inject some energy, but before that, I'll help you this time. You control 3 arms, and I'll control the other 3 to assist you." With Kakuzu's assistance, Hiden's body was no longer injured. Kakuzu's scythe arm reacted extremely quickly, and the snowball attack was completely useless. The coolest thing was that even those explosive snowballs couldn't work. In the blink of an eye, all the fragments were swept away and turned into snow powder. "Am I so strong now?" Hiden, who had been abused, exclaimed. Kakuzu sneered, "No, I'm the strong one, not you. The purpose of my demonstration is to tell you that if you want to control my arm to fight, you're still far from it. Okay, let's go eat. Little guy, what do you want to eat? I'll treat you." Kakuzu actually wants to treat me to a meal. Naruto's mood was very complicated for a while. According to Naruto's observation, Kakuzu's nervous system had been linked with Hiden's. In other words, the horn of pain that Fei Dan felt could also be felt without a single drop. In this case, is Kakuzu a masochist? He's definitely a masochist, Naruto shouted in his heart. After thinking about it, he replied, "I want to eat meat, big pieces of meat, roast lamb leg, roast suckling pig is also fine." Hiden's left hand had become a normal person's overall appearance. In the shoulder area, there was a bump on Kakuzu's face. This shape made Naruto think of Danzo's right hand. On Danzo's right shoulder, there was also a human face, the first Naruto's face. Of course, in contrast, Kakuzu's face was much taller than the first Naruto's. The biggest difference was that the first Naruto's face was closed and didn't move. But Kakuzu's face was a real human face. There were no eyebrows, but there were eyes, a nose, and a mouth. The eyes could see, the nose could smell, and the mouth could speak. The mouth also had teeth and a tongue. It was very strange. "Okay, I'll treat you to meat, as much as you want." "Enough? Really?" After arriving at the cafeteria, Naruto's body suddenly swelled, from half a person's height to 2 people's height. "I want barbecue. First, give me a whole roast lamb." Hayden's neck stiffly turned to the left, looked at his shoulder, and said, "You're treating?" Kakuzu looked at the behemoth in front of him with a numb face, and replied in a manly manner, "My treat." A roast lamb in Naruto's mouth was like a toothpick meat string, and it was gone with a stroke. Then he waved his hand and said, "Give me 2 more." Hayden trembled as he gnawed on the lamb leg that he had eaten a few mouthfuls. 1 head, 2 heads, 3 heads. A lamb. Isn't that expensive, right? That's the lamb outside, the Akatsuki's cafeteria. The ingredients are all ninja beasts. So, this is really a sky-high price. Hayden took a deep breath and said with emotion, "I didn't expect you to be so generous. This meal will cost tens of millions of silver." However, no one answered him. Hayden looked at his left shoulder. At some point his left arm ran away. "Kaka? You son of a bitch! Come back!" Hayden shouted and was about to rush out. He was caught by Naruto, who was quick to react. "You can't leave, you still have to pay the bill." Then, he licked the last shiny lamb bone clean, picked up Hayden, and threw him to the payment counter. "What are you standing there for, pay?" With that, Naruto stuffed his menu into Hayden's hand. Hayden asked with a sad face, "How much?" The cashier took the 2 menus from Hayden's hand. "Hello, distinguished guest. You have eaten 25 roast lambs this time, 10 of which used S-class ingredients, each of which cost 5 million silver, and 15 A-class ingredients, each of which cost 1 million silver, for a total of 65 million silver." What the hell? 65 million silver. How many S-class missions did he have to go through? He ate it all in one meal? However, Hayden still took out his bank card. "I'm sorry, your balance is insufficient to complete the payment." Hayden looked at Naruto foolishly. "Did he eat so much?" Naruto said with a little guilty conscience. "You? Why are you looking at me? I don't have money either." Not only did he not have money, to a certain extent, he still owed money. Naruto hadn't even paid the money for collapsing a building last time. Clang! It was the sound of a kitchen knife chopping into a chopping board. The chef, who was also the master of roast lambs, roared, "No money? It's fine if you don't have money. Come here, I'll chop you up." Naruto directly threw Hayden over. Then, Naruto shrank to the size of a fist and slipped away. Chapter 460. Virtual Reality World. Mercenary Academy. Metal Suit Operating Theory Class. The teacher was Gunny. This class was originally intended for students of the combat department. However, after witnessing Naruto's freakish body, the original secret weapon was turned into a civilian. Okay, that's the end of today's class. I've already explained the key points of the exam. I hope you can study hard. I wish you all the best in passing the exam. The teacher was Gunny. His body was 1, but because he could not reach the blackboard, he added a pair of wings to himself. Therefore, during the class, Gunny flew around like a navigation wizard, very naughty. However, this attracted the attention of many students, making Gunny the most popular teacher. Oh, by the way, let me tell you a secret. The top 30 students with excellent grades will not only receive a generous reward, but they will also be eligible to choose the Metal Suit Operating Practice class. So, let's do our best. Okay, class is over. I wish you all a pleasant lunch break. Gunny blinked his right eye and made a heart gesture in front of his chest. Then, with a bang, his image turned into a light mist and disappeared. Only the howls of wolves and the cheers of girls were left in the classroom. "Hey, Mr. Gunny's wings are so beautiful. I want to have one too." A girl's eyes turned into hearts. "Mr. Gunny's wings? That's impossible. Those are Mr. Gunny's exclusive wings." The girl next to her muttered in disappointment. It was obvious that she also wanted one very much. At this moment, Gunny, who was supposed to leave, suddenly reappeared in the light mist with a bang. "I think I heard someone complimenting my wings." Gunny did not leave at all. He just used the leaving effect and then used the invisibility effect. Among all the teachers, only Gunny would use this kind of trick. As for the compliments, they were just trying to please the teacher and increase their relationship. "Mr. Gunny, your wings are super awesome. I want them so much. I want them too." "Me too." Little Gunny covered his mouth with his right hand and coughed. "Then I have another piece of good news. After this exam, students who are qualified for the Metal Armor Operation Practical course will be assigned to different classes. You'll also be given the title of a class. The independent class will choose a class monitor, and one of the class monitor's privileges is to receive wings. You don't need credits to exchange for exclusive wings. What do you think? Isn't it awesome? That's why everyone has to work hard to revise." When the students heard the news, they were all stunned. Soon after, they started shouting excitedly. However, an untimely voice suddenly came from the corner of the classroom. "Boring." The sound transmission rules in the virtual reality classroom were different from the physical model in the real world. Instead, the sound transmission medium was the vibration of the air. Instead, the students who had the right to speak would be given the right to broadcast. At that time, everyone would hear what he said. Now that class had ended, all the students had the right to broadcast. Thus, this incomparably cold boring was heard by everyone. The scene suddenly fell silent. Everyone followed the system notification and looked in the direction of the person who had spoken. It was Sasuke. Sasuke glanced at the crowd indifferently, then chose to log out and disappeared in front of everyone's eyes. Such an arrogant scene naturally caused many people to be dissatisfied. What's with the arrogance? Who's that guy? I forgot to look at the information just now. Is he that awesome? Someone asked, and soon someone answered, to a certain extent, he is indeed awesome. Because every time he takes an exam, he's the last one. Huh? He's the Uchiha Sasuke who handed in a blank paper? The people here were all orphans of the underground trading house. They didn't know how awesome the Uchiha clan was. Therefore, the classroom was soon filled with mocking laughter. "Shut up, all of you. What right do you have to laugh at Sasuke?" This was a female voice, Sakura Haruno. Being suddenly reprimanded, many people were angry, and they glared at the speaker. But after seeing the target, the student system notified them that the speaker was Sakura Haruno, and no matter how angry they were, they could only suppress their anger. Compared to Sasuke Uchiha, who handed in a blank paper every time, Sakura Haruno got full marks every time. What did full marks mean? It meant first place. Thinking about the future class allocation policy, this person was likely to be the first class president of an independent class. They couldn't afford to offend her. Everyone exchanged glances, then logged out and disappeared. Wherever Sakura Haruno looked, a large group of people would log out. In the end, Sakura Haruno also logged out. When she opened her eyes, the first thing she saw was a pink Hello Kitty-themed princess bedroom. There was a white and chubby cat face on the bedside table, and there was a large white cat face on the pink sheets. Sakura Haruno sat up in her loose pajamas, recalled Sasuke's appearance when he left, and then began to change clothes as quickly as possible. But no matter how fast she was still not faster than Sasuke. Sasuke didn't change clothes at all and directly entered the mercenary university. When she ran to Sasuke's bedroom, the door showed that the master was not there. Lunch break was also time to eat. If he wasn't in the bedroom at this time, he could only go to the cafeteria to eat. Sakura Haruno then rushed to the cafeteria. Finally, she saw Sasuke in the cafeteria. "Sasuke, was talking about something with Tobarama. Why did Tobarama come to the cafeteria today? Didn't he need to eat because of the Edo Tensei? Sakura Haruno was a little puzzled, so she took a few steps closer. She heard the two of them arguing. It's a waste of time here. You can't improve your strength at all. Sasuke stared coldly at Tobarama. Senju Tobarama said calmly, that depends on your understanding of strength. Having power is strength, having money is strength, and having wisdom is strength. Sasuke's expression was cold. I just want to have the strength to kill Uchiha Itachi. If you can't give me that, please don't waste my time. Tobarama waved his hand helplessly. Oh, the Uchiha clan is still as stubborn as ever, they don't listen to other people's suggestions. Ninja? Strong. Ridiculous. The so-called ninjutsu is just the so-called strength by burning life. The stronger the strength, the faster the death. I say, you don't have to rush to revenge at all. I heard that your brother is very strong, so if you wait 5 or 6 years, he will die of exhaustion. Sasuke stared and said, I want to kill him with my own hands, not wait for him to die of old age. This is what he deserves. I only ask you, is there a way to make me stronger? I don't care about burning life. I just want him to die. I just want strength. Anger made Sasuke's chakra begin to riot. The curse mark left by Orochimaru on Sasuke's body spread from his neck, and his body began to mutate. Tobarama raised his hand and pressed on Sasuke's shoulder, the seal was launched, and the curse mark retreated. Tobarama looked down at Sasuke. You only want that kind of power? Sasuke growled, I only want that kind of power. Tobarama's mouth rose and said with a smile, Okay, then I will satisfy you. Chapter 461. Are you good at fire and lightning? Tobarama asked. Uchiha Sasuke simply replied, Yes. Tobarama smiled and said, Then, let them fuse together, and fuse them into a new Kekkei Genkai. Naturally, you will have great power. Sasuke subconsciously replied, That's impossible. Tobarama said flatly, You want to surpass Naruto, don't you? Naruto can fuse water and wind into ice release. Why can't you? Don't talk about Naruto. I heard that your former sensei, Kakashi Hatake, has fused water and lightning together into a new Kekkei Genkai. In addition, there is a woman from the Mist Village who has fused 2 Kekkei Genkai, lava release and boiling release. Also, the Tsuchikage of the Earth Village can use a higher level of chakra nature transformation than the Kekkei Genkai. The fusion of 3 chakra nature transformation into a Kekkei Genkai, dust release. Since you are a genius of the Uchiha clan, I don't think this is difficult for you. Tobarama sneered and looked down at Sasuke, mocking him. Or, the genius of the Uchiha clan is nothing without the Sharingan? Sasuke was furious. Don't insult the name of the Uchiha clan in front of me. Tobarama sneered. Insult? Dignity is never given by others. If you want dignity, you can only earn it with your own efforts. Otherwise, your life will be the greatest insult to the clan. Tobarama looked up at Sakura Haruno not far away and smiled. Your little girlfriend seems to be waiting for you. I won't delay your time. I'll give you a goal. If you can complete the 3 tasks I give you and prove that you have the capacity to have a Sharingan, I'll lift the seal on the Sharingan. Tobarama raised a finger. The first task is to fuse the fire attribute chakra and the thunder attribute chakra into a new Kekkei Genkai. Let me give you a hint. There are theoretical books about bloodline limit fusion in the credit store. You can exchange for them and have a look. They were summarized by me and Naruto. How is it? Do you dare to accept the challenge? Completing 3 quests can lift the seal of the Sharingan? Sasuke stared at Senju Tobarama and asked, What are the other 2 missions? Tobarama waved his hand. Only after completing the first task will you be qualified to know the second task. If you don't know too much, I'm afraid you will be scared. After saying that, Tobarama turned and left. I wish you a happy lunch. Don't be angry and don't eat. In the afternoon, I have a taijutsu class. If you can't keep up with the rhythm because you didn't eat, I'll take the opportunity to play and beat you up. After Tobirama left, Sasuke clenched his fists until his knuckles turned white. Sakura Haruno came closer. Sasuke, Kun, you. Sakura Haruno didn't finish her words when Sasuke interrupted with a black face. Stay away from me. Sakura Haruno paused and then chased after him. Sasuke, Kun, I'm worried about you. Sasuke turned around and stared at Sakura Haruno. What qualifications do you have to worry about me? Shouldn't you be more worried about your family? People like you who deceive the feelings of their loved ones and leave home by blowing themselves up have no qualifications to worry about me. I'll say it for the last time, stay away from me. Otherwise, don't blame me for fighting with you. Sakura Haruno was scolded. She replied with grievance, Naruto said that I can go back in the future. When the time comes, I will. Sakura Haruno's tears came out. She was also homesick, but she also loved Sasuke. She didn't understand why she still couldn't convey her feelings to him even though she had done so much. Sasuke replied indifferently, Go back? With what identity? If you are proven to be alive now, you are just a traitor. Your parents are also ninjas, right? Even if they are unrated. I think they have been educated to deal with traitors. Even if you are their daughter, they will still chase after you with tears in their eyes. So, go back. It's better to just die. Sasuke took a plate from the plate shelf and went straight to the buffet to get food. Sakura Haruno was left crying on the spot. At the same time, at the Great Snow Mountain Research Institute, Naruto was doing experiments in his private research institute. He was observing the process of Kakuzu and Haiden cells fusing. He had secretly obtained the experimental materials while helping Haiden with her special training. Under the high-precision medical perception barrier, the short tentacle cells that looked like black lines were wandering around in the culture medium like worms, absorbing the nutrients in the culture medium and reproducing themselves. The black tentacle cells met Haiden's cells, but the scene of the two fusing didn't appear. Kakuzu's tentacle cells directly swallowed Haiden's cells. The experiment should have ended in failure. Observing Haiden's cells alone, they didn't seem much different from ordinary people's cells. More nutritious? But the amount of nutritious cells couldn't even compare to the Uzumaki cells, let alone Hashirama's cells. Just as Naruto was at his wit's end, he received a message from Yakushi. Boss, the filial piety element in the Sakuragi sisters' cells was extracted. Filial piety element? The filial piety element related to the sage mode? Naruto hurriedly replied, Summon me. Yakushi summoned Naruto, and Naruto directly appeared in Yakushi's laboratory. As soon as he appeared, he asked, How is it? Have you done the experiment? Yakushi replied, I haven't done a live experiment yet. Naruto walked to the test bench and observed the so-called filial piety element. He found that, this is filial piety element? After Naruto connected to Yakushi's high-precision medical perception barrier, he saw what filial piety element looked like. The structure of filial piety element was actually the same as the toxin extracted from the fruit brought back from the outer space. Yakushi nodded and said, This is indeed the substance that Orochimaru mentioned. But I don't think it's correct to name it filial piety element. It's fundamentally different from other filial piety elements that maintain life in the human body, whether its internal structure or function. Naruto observed again, and then called up the poisonous substance extracted from the alien fruit in his memory to compare it with the poisonous substance extracted from it. It was very similar. Boss, didn't you say, this planet is alive? From this, I have some ideas about filial piety element. Naruto looked at Yakushi. Speak. Yakushi took a deep breath and said, I feel. This substance is directly affected by the highest consciousness of this world, or perhaps it's a part of the highest consciousness of this world. Naruto frowned. What do you mean? Yakushi replied, simply put, filial piety element is a type of authority. If the highest consciousness approves, then it will be granted the right to use the power of nature. If it doesn't approve, then it's highly toxic. Naruto nodded thoughtfully, and then looked at the white mouse in the cage. First, let's do a live experiment and see how it goes. Chapter 462. Woodleaf Ninja Village. In a large ninja store, two twin sisters who were chatting were stunned at the same time, as if they suddenly heard a strange sound coming from their home in the middle of the night. They looked nervous and hesitant as if they were listening carefully. After a while, one of them said, "I didn't expect Naruto to extract that thing so quickly." Haru Sakuratani's expression was slightly serious. Natsuya Sakuragi pouted cutely, "Then it seems that we can't stay here any longer." Haru Sakuratani nodded. "Well, since Naruto knows, it means that the world knows. As a person of this world, Naruto is the eyes and ears of this world." Natsuya Sakuragi sighed. "Nasan, you should have added a shielding mark to Naruto." Haru Sakuratani rubbed her sister's head. "It doesn't matter, with that guy's talent, I believe that we will meet again soon. Besides, Milady has received the recall order, we can't stay here for long." While the two were talking, a gust of wind blew, and the cigarette butt that seemed to have burned out in the corner suddenly lit up with sparks, and then it was blown to the ground and ignited a food package. The flame spread strangely, but it was quickly extinguished by a basin of water. It was Natsuya Sakuragi. Natsuya Sakuragi looked at the food package that was extinguished and pouted. "It seems that it has already begun. Let's go. If we don't go, we may not be able to leave this world." At the same time, in the Great Snow Mountain Laboratory, Naruto and Kabuto were observing the white mouse injected with the extracted substance. The white mouse's body struggled, the muscles on its body bulged, and its body expanded at a speed visible to the naked eye. At the same time, two bulges extended from the mouse's back. The bulges connected to the forelimbs, and it seemed that something was going to come out. The bulges continued to grow until they burst, revealing a pair of wings. The wings connected to the forelimbs of a bat, so the original white mouse turned into a bat? Naruto stared at the cursed seal on the white mouse's body. The transformation did not seem to have ended. However, the bat began to wail. Its voice was like the cry of a baby. It was extremely horrifying. At this moment, the door to the laboratory suddenly opened and Hinata walked in. Naruto looked at the person who suddenly came in and said in surprise, "Hinata? What's the matter?" Hinata did not answer. She stared at the white mouse on the experiment table and walked over. Naruto suddenly discovered that there was a cursed seal swimming around Hinata's neck. That wasn't a sealing rune, but an immortal mode rune? How could Hinata have such a thing? Could it be Orochimaru? Impossible. Since when did Orochimaru and Hinata come into contact? "Hinata, what's with the cursed seal on your body?" In a trance, Hinata seemed to have just woken up and noticed Naruto. She was surprised. "Ah." Then she touched the burning curse seal and blamed herself. "Naruto-kun. I didn't mean to hide it from you. Sakuragi-san didn't want me to tell you. Sakuragi-san is Natsuya Sakuragi. Her name is actually Sakura, and Furuya is her younger sister." "Huh?" Naruto blinked. At this time, the mutated white mouse on the experiment table trembled and moved closer to Hinata. Its voice was no longer mournful, but a trace of pitiful pleading. It was like a puppy, a woo-a-woo-a-woo. But soon, the mutated white mouse began to vomit blood from its mouth, and soon all its 7 orifices began to bleed. It looked extremely terrifying, and it seemed that it would not survive. Hinata looked at the mutated white mouse with worry. "What is this? Why do I feel a sense of familiarity from it? It seems to be in great pain. Naruto-kun, can you save it?" Naruto looked back at the white mouse and sighed. "There's nothing I can do. I injected it with something I extracted from Sakuragi." "No, not from Sakuragi's body." Hinata had a weak personality to begin with, and she could not bear to see such a scene. She was on the verge of tears. "What should we do, then?" Naruto looked at the mutated white mouse on the experiment table with a troubled expression, and suggested, "How about we give it a quick death? Directly kill it." The mutated white mouse seemed to have gained sentience. The moment it heard that someone wanted to kill it, its hair stood on end, and it bared its fangs at Naruto while hissing like a snake. A strange feeling of blood connection made Hinata even more uncomfortable, and with a crying voice, she asked, "Is there no other way?" Naruto shook his head. At this moment, Sakura's voice suddenly sounded in Hinata's ears. "Aya. Why did Naruto use such a precious thing on a small mouse?" Hinata hurriedly asked, "Sister Sakura, do you have a way to save it?" Sakura replied, "It's simple. Just give it your blood to drink, but isn't a mouse too lowly? It's better to transform it into a dog. Are you sure you want to take this little guy as a servant?" Hinata did not hesitate. She took out a kunai and stabbed it into her hand, then fed the blood that flowed out to the mouse. Naruto exclaimed, "What are you doing?" Hinata replied simply, "This can save it." Hearing this, Naruto, who had intended to stop her, moved aside. He looked suspiciously at Hinata feeding her blood to the mutated white mouse. After the mutated white mouse drank Hinata's blood, the curse seals on its body suddenly linked together, as if the gap had been filled. Next, the mutated white mouse stopped bleeding, and the fur on its body turned from white to red. Next, it burned into a fireball with a loud bang. A bat that's engulfed in flames? Naruto planned to take a closer look, but the bat suddenly turned its head and bared its fangs at Naruto. At the same time, it made a warning sound like a dog that was about to bite someone. Woo! 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 This guy is bearing a grudge. He remembered that he wanted to take revenge on me. Naruto pursed his lips. He wondered if he should put the bat in his place. He knew how to use flames too, and Second Last's dual-colored flames should be much more powerful. Hinata burst into tears of joy and exclaimed, "Great, you're all right." The ferocious-looking bat suddenly became soft and cute as it leaned towards Hinata. Naruto looked at Hinata's injured hand and said, "Don't bother about the dead mouse for now. Let me treat your hand." However, as soon as Naruto approached, the little bat bared its fangs and made threatening sounds. Naruto was suddenly annoyed. He raised his hand and was about to slap it. Hinata was his wife. However, when Hinata saw that Naruto was about to attack, she rushed to protect Little Rat. "Don't hurt it, it has just recovered." Naruto felt like he had punched cotton. He felt so helpless. He took a deep breath and said, "Anyway, treat the wound on your hand first." As soon as Naruto approached, Little Rat bared its fangs again. Hinata said, "I'll treat it myself." She then used the immortal palm technique on herself. All of a sudden, Naruto's malice towards Little Rat reached its peak. However, he couldn't be angry with a mouse in front of a girl. Hence, he changed the subject and asked, "How did you suddenly know that your blood can save it?" "Intuition." Hinata replied, "Sister Ing told me. By the way, I haven't thanked Sister Ing yet." Hinata opened the chat list. However, she realized that Ying's profile picture had already been destroyed. Gu's profile picture had also been destroyed. At the same time, Naruto also opened the chat list, intending to ask some questions. For example, the curse on Hinata's body. However, he only saw 2 gray profile pictures. At this moment, what's going on? Chapter 463. The Sakuragi sisters weren't online at the same time? What was going on? According to Hinata, Sakura seemed to have given Hinata some pointers earlier. Naruto used his 5-star privileges to access their account records. He discovered that the connection to each of their accounts was broken. There were 3 possibilities. The first possibility was that the card was damaged. The second possibility was that the card was sealed. The third possibility was that they were no longer on this planet. No matter which one it was, they all reflected the fact that they didn't want to see Naruto. In that case, the shop owner and his daughter Naruto recalled that they seemed to be filming The Last Swordswoman 2. Naruto opened up his contact list and found someone with the ID, Crazy Director, on the shop's menu. This was the director that Naruto met when he went to the Snow Country. Due to the fact that they were working together on a virtual reality movie, Naruto anonymously added this director. He sent an anonymous message, "Is Canon Chiba with you?" Right after he sent the message, the other party immediately replied, "You're looking for Lady Hanuin?" Unfortunately, the movie wrapped up yesterday. Lady Hanuin and her father said that they had something to do and left. She left yesterday? Naruto furrowed his eyebrows. He asked, "Did they say where they were going?" The other party immediately replied, "I don't think so. Do you have something important to do? If they return, I'll let them know." Would they return? Naruto had a premonition that they might never return. This premonition was quite strong. Seiji recalled how he met the shop owner. At first, he was just an ordinary uncle who owned a ninja shop. Later, he learned how to forge swords due to a fortuitous encounter with raw steel. After that, he met two mysterious girls who called themselves maids. He also learned that the shop owner was related to the mysterious underground market. Naruto originally thought that this was the limit, but now it seemed that it wasn't just that. I should have thought of it earlier. There's no such person in Naruto's world. Naruto sighed emotionally. Hinata came over and asked with a worried expression, "Naruto-kun, was Sakura-san angry that I didn't keep my promise, so she angrily left?" "Promise? What promise did you make?" Naruto looked at Hinata. Hinata clenched her fists when she was nervous. "Sister asked me to promise her that I wouldn't tell you about the curse." "That's it?" Naruto shook his head. "I don't think they left because of this. Besides, you didn't tell me about it. When you came in, you were in a strange state. You didn't seem to see me at all." Hinata tried to recall. Just now, it was quite strange. Just now, I was washing the vegetables, and then I suddenly heard a voice calling for help. That voice sounded very heart-wrenching, as if it was enduring great pain. I followed that voice to find it. Naruto comforted him. "Right? You didn't feel my presence at that time, and the curse seal didn't appear under your control. It should be some kind of resonance, so it's not your fault. They didn't leave because of this." Hinata timidly raised her head and looked at Naruto. "Really?" Naruto raised his hand and wanted to hold Hinata's uneasy hand, but at this time, the damn little bat suddenly blocked in front of Hinata and bared its fangs at Naruto. It made a muffled sound in its throat, like a puppy protecting its food. This vengeful fellow is so annoying. Naruto resisted the urge to slap it away and asked, "When did you get the curse seal?" Hinata became nervous again. Before leaving the village. At that time, Sister Ing asked me if I wanted to have power, and then Sister Ing gave me her blood to drink. Naruto continued to ask, "Then, did you feel anything unusual?" Hinata doubtfully repeated, "Unusual?" Naruto added, "You just didn't feel well." Hinata frowned every day and racked her brain to recall, "Not feeling well. I did." Naruto's expression became serious and asked, "When? What kind of discomfort?" Hinata said, "Well, there are a few days every month when my stomach hurts." "What?" Naruto was suddenly petrified and replied stiffly, "My period doesn't count." Hinata's face suddenly turned red and she lowered her head. She looked at her toes and replied timidly, That's not it." Naruto sorted out his complicated feelings. He said, "Then show me your curse seal." Hinata nodded obediently, and then Hinata's curse seal crawled all over her body at a speed visible to the naked eye. Her body did not mutate, and then Hinata raised her right hand. Boom! A fireball appeared in Hinata's hand. "I don't know what my curse seal can do. Sister Ing told me to explore it myself. The only thing I know is that I can control flames at will." As she said that, the flames in Hinata's hand elongated and turned into flame characters. They were the two words, Ming, and human. Hinata was stunned for a moment, and then her face suddenly turned red and she said in a panic, No, I don't strangely use flames to form Naruto-kun's name every day." The silly Hinata was stunned and blinked her eyes. "It's over. I actually said it out loud." Bang! Hinata's entire body was vaporized, and the flame characters on her hand suddenly expanded under the influence of Hinata's emotions. Fortunately, Naruto reacted quickly and used the ice ball to shine the two of them together, so it did not cause a disaster. But even so, most of Naruto's ice ball was melted. To be able to melt Naruto's ice ball, even the great fireball technique could not do that. Hinata's fire was a bit too strong. Hinata? Hinata? Hinata came back to her senses. Naruto tried to make his voice as gentle as possible. Calm down a little. Hinata only then realized that the flames on her hand, which were the two words Naruto, were sizzling and burning the surrounding ice wall. Hinata quickly withdrew the flames and dispelled the curse. She bowed and apologized. I'm very sorry. I didn't do it on purpose. The flames on Hinata's body extinguished. Naruto walked forward and hugged Hinata. Silly girl, you don't have to apologize to me. But you do need to control the flames in the future, otherwise it will easily cause a fire. Naruto hugged Hinata and stared provocatively at the little bat that was frozen in the ice. Flames appeared on the little bat's body. The ice began to melt, but Naruto increased the amount of chakra, and the little bat was frozen again. What's that sound? Hinata heard the sound and wanted to turn her head, but Naruto raised his hand and pressed the back of her head. Nothing, it's nothing important. Hinata shyly lay in Naruto's arms for a while, and suddenly thought of something. Hey, Naruto-kun, I suddenly thought of something. Naruto calmly asked, what is it? Hinata said, when you killed Danzo, your stamina was overdrawn and you aged a lot. At that time, Sakura and Sia gave you their blood to drink. Naruto was stunned and said in disbelief, what? Hinata replied, I was wondering if you could enter the curse mode. I asked them, and they said they wouldn't tell you this. They said, I'll tell you when you know that I have the curse. I asked you when you'll know. When they say they know, you'll know. Huh? Naruto was dumbfounded. But then again, he could use the curse. Chapter 464. How do I do it? Naruto let go of Hinata and decided to try if he had a rune pattern. Hinata stood up shyly. Naruto's body temperature made her a little unsteady. Inject chakra into the rune. Inject into the rune? But Naruto didn't have any rune on him. The perception barrier was activated, and Naruto scanned his body again. In fact, there was no need to do this. With Naruto's familiarity with himself and his abnormal memory, if there was nothing in his memory, then there really wasn't anything. There's nothing. Hinata looked at Naruto's left hand, where there was a circular rune. That was the rune that controlled the rune lines that left the sealing technique. Hinata bit her lip and said in distress, then I don't know. Naruto thought for a moment and suggested, let my spirit enter your body, then you enter the rune pattern. This way, I can feel it more directly. Hinata didn't hesitate and nodded obediently, okay. Naruto's spirit left his body, and Nine Tails took over the control of Naruto's body. How much time do you need? Do you want me to go for a walk? Naruto replied concisely, stay here. Nine Tails Naruto rolled his eyes, then looked at the little Hinata. Nine Tails suddenly sighed, the most adorable height difference. Logically speaking, Hinata wasn't short now, especially under the previous Nine Tails ninja beast cooking, her body had fully developed. At a height of 168 meters, the places that should be perky were perky, and the places that should be perky were perky. But if there was anything to blame, it was Naruto's height. He was already more than 2 meters tall. When he just returned from space, he was 2.5 meters tall. Now, under the influence of gravity, he had shrunk a little, but he was still 2 meters tall. The change in height is due to the change in gravity in the environment. Alright, let's enter the rune mode. Naruto's soul appeared in Hinata's spiritual world. Such a deep spiritual connection allowed Naruto to sense all the information that Hinata could sense from the outside world. For example, her chest felt a little heavy. Cough cough, I can't focus on this. Lust is emptiness, lust is emptiness, sin, sin. Alright. Hinata bit her lips and blushed as she replied. The two of them opened their hearts to each other, and their minds were connected. Hinata could vaguely feel some of Naruto's thoughts. Although it was not real, She seemed to feel that Naruto seemed to care about her chest. Due to her nervousness, Hinata failed to summon chakra for the first time. It was intermittent, as if it was moving in China with extremely poor signal. However, the second time was a success. When chakra was injected into the rune on her neck, the flame-shaped rune spread and covered Hinata's entire body. Naruto looked at the changes in the rune seriously, and his expression gradually became serious. This is a rune array. It seems to be disorderly, but every rune pattern is filled with precise techniques. And unlike Sasuke's complicated composition, the runes on Hinata's body are orderly. The logical level is very clear. This is man-made. Naruto's thoughts swept through every rune pattern on Hinata's body. A complicated and precise rune diagram appeared in Naruto's memory. Congratulations, I just didn't expect you to find it so early. Natsuya Sakuragi, no. Gu's image appeared in front of Naruto's eyes. It was a girl with short blue hair and a hair clip in the left corner of her bangs. Naruto's face showed a look of surprise. But it was soon replaced by seriousness. How can you be in Hinata's body? Gu covered her mouth and smiled. Are you worried about your little girlfriend? I really don't understand why you set your sights on this girl from the beginning. Although this girl's talent is not bad, and her bloodline is also favored by the world, but she is only a mid-level Earth talent. Even well, I won't discourage you, maybe this is what the big miss said about love doesn't need a reason. Seeing that Naruto's expression was still serious, Furu explained again, relax, I'm not in this girl's body. It's just that I haven't gone far yet, so I can still transmit my thoughts. I felt that you entered this girl's body, so I suddenly wanted to see you. Naruto was taken aback, and only then did he notice that the girl in front of him was not a complete soul, but just a spiritual force. It was like using the spiritual network to transmit information. You left? Where did you go? Why did you leave? Gu replied, because I was discovered by this world. I am not a creature of this world. If I am discovered, I will be attacked by the whole world. You know that, right? You have also left this planet and gone to other planets with life. Naruto did know this. It's just, how did she know? Naruto only told people with 4-star cards at the highest meeting of the snow-capped mountain. Could it be? The other party's telekinesis is so strong that she can perceive the North Pole in the Woodleaf Ninja Village? Naruto looked at the person in front of him in shock. Gu looked at Naruto and smiled. I can guess from your expression, you are wondering how I know, right? Have you even thought that I can directly feel everything you do in Woodleaf? No, because I am not a creature of this planet, I have to be careful what I do. The power I use must not exceed the average level of this world. Otherwise, it is easy to attract the attention of this world. The reason why I know is because of Hinata. I left a divine imprint on her body. As her superior, I will be able to receive all the information she receives within a certain range. So, I know very well that this girl likes you very much. Huh? As soon as the other party changed the topic, Naruto's brain suddenly froze. Then he changed the topic somewhat unnaturally. Then if you are not bound by this world, can your thoughts be transmitted from Woodleaf to the Snow Country or even the North Pole? Gu looked at Naruto with a smile and leaned a little closer, almost touching Naruto's face. What do you think? Naruto looked serious. It should be no problem, and with the assistance of special tools, it can support you from the outside world to this world. The smile on Gu's face became bigger, but Naruto couldn't feel the emotional changes from the other party's spiritual power. This was not a deliberate fake smile. Naruto knew that the other party didn't have any emotions. Without the tools, my telekinesis, if expanded without restraint, it should be able to cover thousands of planets. What? Naruto was stunned. Thousands of planets? How far was that? The girl continued, don't be too shocked, I am the weakest. Because I am the weakest, it is easy to control my power, which is why I showed my detection ability. Sister is even stronger, not to mention Miss and your shop manager. Huh? Do you have any other questions? We have arrived at the singularity of this universe, and after leaving this universe, we won't be able to see each other for a while. Naruto came back to his senses. Why are you helping me? The girl looked at Naruto very attentively and said seriously, because you are special. In the vast universe, the shop manager looked at Gu, who opened his eyes and said, You told him that Hua Yin saved this brat from the galaxy? Sound could not be transmitted in the universe, because there was no such medium as air. However, the shop manager spoke, not with his spiritual power, but with the vibrations of his vocal cords. And the amazing thing was that the sound could really be transmitted. Through the air, in the space where they were, the rules were distorted. For example, there was a piece of empty land under their feet. For example, there were flowers and plants growing on the land. For example, there was no sun around them, but the sun shone on everyone. The place where they were seemed to be a domain. The girl shook her head and replied, No, telling him now won't give him any benefits. Let's wait until the next time we meet. The shop manager raised his eyebrows. Next time. I don't know when the next time will be, but since that little brat has that kind of monster living in his body, I don't think he will die so easily. Gu Kaisen said, Yes, but I don't know if he will bring his little girlfriend with him. The shop manager shrugged. If not, I will betroth Hua Yin to him. Hua Yin held a sword in her hand and looked at them in a daze. Did you tell him that living steel is a kind of divine substance? Hua Yin's question was much more serious. Gu Kaisen replied seriously, Yes. The shop manager said, Then let's go. Hua Yin nodded. Then, the space around them distorted, and some of the large stars around them were affected and disintegrated from matter into pure energy. The energy gathered, and light waves flickered for a moment, and then the surroundings returned to darkness. The large stars that had disintegrated into energy were restored under the influence of the mysterious rules. At this moment, the entire universe trembled. Chapter 465. Let's go. I'm looking forward to meeting you next time. By the way, my name is not Gu, it's Gu, and my sister is also folding. Gugu's spiritual projection approached Naruto, stood on tiptoe, and kissed Mua's bite. Gugu's projection was lifted, turned into a star, and disappeared. Naruto stood in place. He was kissed again. He seemed to have a strong constitution of being kissed. Wasn't the constitution of being kissed a little boy? He was so manly now. However, compared to being kissed, Naruto was more shocked by the news he learned from Gugu. Naruto's gaze once again fell on the cursed seal on Hinata's body. According to Gugu, this was the initial form of this cursed seal, and the change would change with the change of needs. Naruto-kun, do you need to use flames? Hinata's voice came. Naruto then thought of a very serious matter. Gugu kissed him just now, and Hinata was right beside him. What should he do? Hinata, that. Gugu, she. How should he explain this? Say that Gugu didn't do it on purpose? How could this thing be unintentional? If she didn't do it on purpose, how could she kiss him? Then say that she didn't do it on purpose? Isn't that a little silly? Or apologize that he reacted too slowly and didn't dodge. Pay attention next time? Hinata asked strangely, Who is Gugu? Sister Gu? Naruto was stunned. Hinata didn't know Gu's name was Gugu? Then, it was clearly Gugu who said it herself just now. Could it be that Hinata didn't feel the existence of Gugu just now? If that's the case, the awkwardness is lifted. Hinata, I saw Gu in your body just now. She said her name is Fold Gugu. Hinata's thought appeared in front of Naruto, and she asked in surprise, Where? Sister Gu is in my body? Then Naruto told her about Gu's departure. Of course, he would never say that he was kissed. After listening to Naruto's narration, Hinata's face showed a sad expression. Naruto-kun, will we still be able to see Sister Gugu and the others? Hinata really didn't know. Naruto finally breathed a sigh of relief. Speaking of which, this doesn't count as cheating, right? More or less, he felt a little guilty and a little excited? A small thrill? Tesuke, don't tell me I'm still a scumbag? Naruto's heart was in a mess, but he comforted her. We will meet again. Although they left this universe, they pointed us in the right direction. They let us know that the limit of power is much higher than we thought. Hinata didn't quite understand Naruto's last sentence, but she understood the first part. And Naruto-kun said that we will meet again, so we will definitely meet again. Hinata believes in Naruto-kun. Looking at Hinata, who suddenly became happy again, Naruto didn't know what to say. She was really self-confident. His current thoughts could only cover the entire snow country at most. It couldn't even reach the wood leaf. The other party could cover thousands of stars. Not to mention there were more abnormal ones. His mood was complicated. There was a frog in the well that jumped out of the bottom of the well and suddenly became enlightened. There was also a sense of shame of standing naked in a sea of people. The gap. Hinata, control the flame, I will observe the changes in your seal. Gugu said that the seal on your body can change according to your needs. Hinata quickly responded, okay. A fireball appeared in Hinata's right hand. In Naruto's eyes, the seal on Hinata's right hand changed. The process of this change was also recorded in Naruto's memory. Hinata, use your left hand to control the fireball. A fireball appeared in Hinata's left hand. The seal on her left hand changed. Hinata, try using your foot. Hinata was stunned for a moment, but she still raised her leg according to Naruto's request. It was the first time Naruto knew that Hinata could actually do a split. Naruto was inexplicably excited. How many movements could this unlock? Cough cough. Cough cough cough. Form is emptiness. Form is emptiness. Naruto felt that his thoughts were about to go astray again, so he quickly diverted his attention. On Hinata's raised right foot, a fireball suddenly appeared. Hinata was surprised. Huh? It actually worked. This is the first time I used my foot to control a fireball. Naruto recorded the process of the seal's change again. Naruto believed that not only her foot, but any part of Hinata's body could do it. To be precise, she could turn into a flaming person. Try it. Wait, being wrapped in flames shouldn't be anything special. Just like his wind release body blink technique and storm wound that he learned from Shikaku. He could use the wind element chakra to wrap his entire body, then use the explosive wind blade to increase his speed. Then Hinata, have you tried to merge flames into your body? The meaning transmitted by the soul remembrance was very accurate. Because it wasn't a literal conversation, but a concrete meaning. How should I try it? Eat the fireball? Although I understand, but there's still some deviation. Naruto hurriedly stopped her. No. First use your hand to touch the flames, accept the flames, and see if there are any changes in your body. Not knowing whether it was the confidence of a ninja or her trust in Naruto, Hinata didn't hesitate to control the fireball in her hand. When the flames touched Hinata's hand, the sizzling sound of burning and the aroma of barbecued meat didn't appear. Hinata's hand turned into a part of the flames. Her body was burning without any damage. Naruto couldn't do it. Hinata was also very surprised. Naruto-kun, look at my hand. It's so beautiful. Naruto saw it. Hinata's vision was Naruto's vision. Coupled with the feedback from his body and Naruto's superbrain, Naruto felt more information than Hinata herself. In Naruto's vision, the seal on Hinata's hand changed again. It was even more complicated, which was Naruto's memory. If it was someone else, they wouldn't be able to record it at all. Control the flames. Try to turn your entire arm into a part of the flames. Hinata followed Naruto's instructions. The seal changed, and the flames spread. Continue, spread to the body. Bang! Hinata burned. Her entire body turned into a flaming person. What was embarrassing was, her clothes were set on fire. Nine Tails, who was standing in front of her, was pushed back a few steps by the wave of fire. He looked up and sighed, "Oh, what a good figure." Huh. The moment Naruto noticed this, he wanted to strangle Nine Tails. Hinata also reacted and covered her body with her hands in fright. At this time, the flames felt Hinata's intention and formed clothes made of flames. The style was exactly the same as Hinata's burnt clothes. It should be changed according to Hinata's subconscious. This is amazing. But it wasn't as amazing as turning her entire body into flames. Because whether it was ice or wood, they could be made into clothes. But Naruto couldn't turn his body into ice or wood. Right. The first Naruto seemed to be able to do it. Naruto thought of Danzo's arm that was transplanted with the first-generation cells. What are you looking at? Naruto scolded Nine Tails. Pharmacist Pocket was also present. Pharmacist Pocket was much more obedient and had already turned around and squatted in a corner. Nine Tails replied, I'm also a woman, what's wrong with taking a look? You're the one who got lucky. This sentence made sense. Naruto didn't know how to refute it. He could only change the topic. Hinata, go outside the Great Snow Mountain Research Institute and try the changes in speed and strength. Naruto had a hunch. No, Naruto believed that the seal on Hinata's body was definitely not that simple. It seemed, the store manager and the others had left him a huge treasure. Once he completely deciphered this cursed seal, at that time. Speaking of which, this matter could be done, right? With Daipyo, Uzumaki Mito, and him, 3 Zhuge Liang, it might be possible. Chapter 466. Hinata. Run with all your might. Hinata began to run. The runes on her legs changed again, and Hinata's speed increased dramatically. Under the fire mode, she looked like a meteor streaking across the ground. Hinata, use your fists to hit the tree in front of you. Hinata clenched her fists, and the runes changed again, increasing her strength. There was a loud explosion, and at the same time, a tree was smashed to pieces, and flames engulfed it, burning it to ashes. Naruto observed the changes in the runes, and at the same time, observed Chakra's energy consumption. The consumption of chakra in Hinata's body was very slow, and most of it was absorbed by the runes from outside the body. In Naruto's opinion, this mode was true power, and not power obtained by squeezing the body's life force. Hinata, find a corner and stop. Put out the fire and change your clothes. Hinata found a corner and squatted down. Just as she was about to use her identity card to connect to the wardrobe, she discovered that her identity card had been destroyed in the fire. The naked Hinata hugged her chest and squatted down in the corner. Naruto-kun, my identity card was destroyed, and I have no clothes. Naruto also noticed this. He was stunned for a moment, and then replied, Then wait here, I'll go back and get you some clothes. I still have to do some tests later. Naruto's spirit body floated out of Hinata's body, and then secretly turned around to take a look. What white skin! What a great figure! I'm not a pervert, and I'm not scum either. Hinata is my wife, and I'm just looking at my own wife. Yes, that's right. Perhaps Naruto's spirit body was too excited, and his speed increased. In the blink of an eye, he returned to the Great Snow Mountain Research Institute. The Great Snow Mountain security system began to record a report the moment Naruto entered. Security notification: a spirit body has entered the Research Institute, entering Level 2 security alert. Security notification: the spirit body's identity has been verified, Level 2 security alert has been lifted. Naruto returned to his body. To enter Hinata's room with a 5-star authorization, he needed to find a set of clothes. Wait. He had to cut off Nine Tails' mental link first. Naruto closed the spiritual link with Kyubi. In Kyubi's sealed space, Kyubi was sitting cross-legged in the cage. He raised his right eye and looked at Naruto with disdain. This guy must be preparing to do something dirty and doesn't want me to know. Oh man. In Hinata's room, Naruto rubbed his hands. She had to take her underwear, right? Of course, Naruto's eyes lit up. At the same time, he comforted himself. Yes, I'm just taking the clothes. I definitely don't want to take a look. Naruto returned to the Great Snow Mountain in a second, but when he picked out his clothes, God knows how many times the second hand spun before it was done. If not for the fact that he was worried that Hinata would be too cold in this world of ice and snow, he could have chosen a day. After picking out a set of clothes, Naruto picked up his speed again. Whoosh! He flew out. Cutting off his spiritual link with Nine Tails was seamless and undetectable. In the Great Snow Mountain's laboratory, Big Fatty witnessed the entire process of the crime with his 5-star authorization. So boss likes pink. But I think black lace is true love. In Big Fatty's exclusive laboratory, there were no outsiders. Big Fatty muttered in a language that ordinary people could not understand. Hinata, I'm here. Naruto appeared in front of Hinata like a gust of wind. Next, he could see Hinata's. Naruto was already prepared. He even thought of using a scissor hand to cover it if Hinata did not let him see. However, Naruto only saw a big fireball. Hinata's flame armor was very tight. This outfit is also very cool. Naruto praised her against his will. Then, he placed the seal on the scroll on the snow in front of Hinata. Hinata looked shy. Naruto-kun. You, turn around. Naruto said dumbfoundedly. Okay. I'll turn around now. Naruto turned around, but the perception enchantment quietly. Hinata's face turned red. Naruto-kun. Can you put away the perception enchantment? Hinata also had a curse seal on her wrist that was used to control talisman threads. That curse seal was not as simple as forming a seal. It could also detect all kinds of enchantments that already existed. Therefore, I forgot. Ha. Hinata bit her lip and opened the scroll that Naruto brought. Inside, ting. Hinata's face turned red. If she remembered correctly, this underwear was bought a long time ago. It should be at the bottom of the storage box. Naruto didn't go through all her underwear, did he? Hinata changed into it as fast as she could. Then, she felt a little sweet in her heart. Naruto-kun. Does he like this kind of cute thing? Then, I'll buy more in the future. Hinata finished changing her clothes with a red face. The two of them stood with their backs facing each other. Hinata felt her heart beating a little faster. Naruto-kun. I'm done changing, Naruto said dumbfoundedly. You're done changing? Then continue with the experiment. Hinata replied in a mosquito's voice. Okay. Naruto's soul left his body and entered Hinata's body again. Hinata, enter rune mode. This time, don't use fire. Hinata's heart was beating very fast as she timidly replied, Okay. Hinata entered rune mode and her entire body was covered in runes again. Naruto ordered, Okay, now run as fast as you can. Hinata took a deep breath and her red face gradually cooled down. Hinata, who entered rune mode, seemed to have become a different person. This was a ninja's habit. Originally, it was quite difficult for Hinata to develop this habit. After all, Hinata's personality was quite weak. But ever since she started doing missions with Naruto in the same class, she had always been protected by Naruto and wanted to become stronger. Later, she joined the Clown Emperor. Although she didn't get much experience with the Clown Emperor, it was still helpful. Especially, the previous Nine Tails special training. Taking a deep breath into her lungs, oxygen entered her blood and supplied her entire body. Her mind also woke up from the ambiguous atmosphere. Hinata slightly crouched and exerted force. Bang! Like a cannonball, Hinata's speed was extremely fast. Here, in the technique of exerting force, Hinata used the 8 trigrams 64 palms technique of gentle fist. But more importantly, the runes on Hinata's legs changed. Then, it changed to her waist, hands, and all over her body. Hinata's entire body's strength was completely mobilized under her solid foundation of taijutsu. At the same time, it also affected the change of the runes. Naruto witnessed the entire process and confirmed that the runes on Hinata's body increased in all directions. Amazing! If this mode entered fire mode, even if she didn't attack, The power of this collision would definitely be strong enough. Hinata, use gentle fist. From the simple to the advanced, use every move. Hinata did as Naruto said. Day after day of taijutsu training, Hinata's skills had already become proficient. Every move and style already had the bearing of a master. Empty palm. She struck out with her palm and imprinted it on the tree trunk. This was originally a move to hit the acupoints through the air. But with the addition of the force of nature, the destructive power was extraordinary. The shadow of a palm was imprinted on the tree, and the tree was directly wiped out. Naruto thought of a name, Buddha's palm. He seemed to have thought of it last time. Then, it was 8 trigrams 64 palms, and revolving heaven. Hinata's runes were really powerful. Then what about him? He also drank this blood. Would he be able to enter this mode too? Naruto forgot to ask this question when he met Gugu. Now, he could only try it himself to find out. Chapter 467. After a round of punching, Hinata felt a warm sensation all over her body. She didn't feel tired at all. Not only was the seal's power not consumed, it even seemed like it was nourishing her body. Hinata exclaimed, "I've never used a seal like this before. I've always done it secretly. I didn't expect the seal to be so powerful." Naruto was also feeling quite emotional. This seal was far more powerful than Orochimaru's seal, which accelerated death. It could be said that this was the difference between a defective product and a luxury product. There was still the difference between a genuine product and a premium product. They couldn't be compared at all. "I'm going to test my body." Naruto's spiritual body returned to his body. He closed his eyes and sensed his body. Chakra covered his entire body. 1 minute passed, 2 minutes passed, 3 minutes passed. Hinata looked at Naruto nervously, waiting for Naruto's reaction. Naruto opened his eyes and took a deep breath. You must be tired after running and jumping around for so long. Let's go back and eat something." Hinata paused in surprise and blinked her large, adorable eyes. At this moment, Naruto had already turned around and started walking back towards the snow mountain. A few snowflakes were blown into the air by the wind, setting off Naruto's back. How pitiful! He sensed his body for 3 minutes. In the first minute, Naruto confirmed that there was nothing in his body. In the second minute, he was unwilling to give up and searched his body a few more times. In the third minute, he gave up. Perhaps the seal had something to do with the Sakuragi sisters' blood, but it definitely wasn't a definite connection. "Naruto-kun, are we still going to come out after eating?" The north wind blew past, and Naruto felt even more pitiful than before. Naruto looked at Hinata with a helpless expression. Could she stop being so heart-wrenching at a time like this? Naruto took a deep breath. "No, I still have an experiment to complete in Medicine Master's pocket." Hinata nodded obediently. Perhaps because he was really interested in Naruto's curse, he couldn't help but ask, "Then, will you come back after the experiment?" Faintly, Naruto heard a crash sound. That was the sound of his heart breaking. Naruto took a deep breath and slowly exhaled. Well, there will be a chance in the future. Opportunity? Under normal circumstances, there wouldn't be any, but if Naruto could join forces with Uzumaki Mito and Big Fatty to crack the curse seal and join the body in another way, it would be so far away. Hinata didn't know the sadness in Naruto's heart. She nodded obediently and said, "Okay, then Naruto-kun, you must call me when the time comes." After returning to the Great Snow Mountain Research Institute, Hinata went to continue cooking while Naruto went to Medicine Master Pocket's laboratory. He shared the information he obtained from Hinata with Medicine Master Do. After all, Medicine Master Pocket was now studying the curse seal. At the same time, Naruto didn't hide it from Medicine Master Pocket and told him that there was no curse seal on his body. Medicine Master Pocket pondered. Naruto's eyes fell on the ice ball in Medicine Master Pocket's laboratory. This was used to prevent Hinata from destroying the equipment. It also froze the annoying little bat. Where's the little bat? Naruto's eyes fell on a gap in the ice ball. There was a bat's silhouette there. Medicine Master Pocket looked up and said, "Not long after you left, the little guy broke free and went out. Just in case, I let Big Fatty keep an eye on it." Naruto nodded. The fact that there was no fire so far meant that the little bat didn't mess around. In that case, there was no need to worry about it. At the same time, in the kitchen of the Great Snow Mountain Research Institute. Squeak, squeak, squeak. The little bat stood upside down on the roof and called out to Hinata. Hinata looked over. "Huh? You're here? Are you hurt?" As soon as Hinata spoke, the little bat threw itself into Hinata's arms. There were tears in its eyes. Overall, it looked like it was being bullied and looking for its mother. On the other side, Naruto and Medicine Master Pocket continued to analyze. Medicine Master Pocket asked for a drop of Naruto's blood to test it. The feedback from the blood doesn't show any abnormalities, but I thought of something. Medicine Master Pocket looked up at Naruto with a serious expression. Naruto replied simply, "Speak." Medicine Master Pocket motioned for Naruto to follow. The two went to the laboratory next door. This laboratory was very secure. The door alone had 3 layers. The energy supply was independent, and the perception barrier was open 365x 24/7. This was the laboratory used to study the substance that Naruto brought from outer space. Medicine Master Pocket pointed at the fruit on the table. "Do you still remember? You ate this fruit before. Logically speaking, you should have died immediately." Now that Medicine Master Pocket mentioned it, Naruto began to think. "You mean, I didn't die, because I have the Sakuragi sisters' blood in my body?" Medicine Master Pocket nodded. This was definitely more than 60% likely. Medicine Master Pocket said, "If we can make Hinata." As soon as Yakushi opened his mouth, Naruto guessed what he was going to do. Naruto glared at Medicine Master Pocket and interrupted, "Don't even think about it. Make Hinata take poison?" And it was a poison that he had no confidence in. How was that possible? Medicine Master Pocket changed his words. "Then, what about the little bat?" Naruto's eyes lit up. "That's possible." Naruto contacted Big Fatty. "Where's the little bat that Medicine Master Pocket asked you to look after?" Big Fatty transmitted the little bat's information to the laboratory monitor. Naruto saw that the little bat was lying in Hinata's hands. Hinata seemed to like the little bat quite a bit. This kid isn't simple. Isn't his spiritual intelligence a bit too fast? He already knows how to find a backer? Naruto couldn't help but complain. Medicine Master Pocket said, "If it still doesn't work, we can only use Hinata's blood and your blood together with that substance for an experiment." This suggestion was accepted. The experiment was conducted very quickly. They used the blood of Naruto, Hinata, and Gunny. The results of the experiment were that the 3 girls died the moment their cells were removed from the substance. Naruto also died after struggling for an hour. Hinata's blood was the same as Naruto's. "Looks like I owe them my life. Saving my life, how about? I repay them with my body," Naruto thought to himself. The experiment showed that he had a certain level of resistance to that substance. This gave him some buffer time. When he realized that something was wrong, he used cell extraction to extract the damaged cells and survive. Medicine Master Pocket continued to watch the replay. He said, "You said that the curse seal is like an intricate talisman array. It's man-made." Naruto shared the most basic pattern of the curse seal with Medicine Master Pocket. Medicine Master Pocket also knew some curse seals, but he wasn't an expert. Even so, from the strict logic of the curse seal, he could see the trick. If that's the case, although your body doesn't have the curse seal, maybe it can be added? Naruto nodded and agreed. "I think so too. I'll look for Big Fatty and Uzumaki Mito to study it together. This topic will be classified as top secret. Or, I can remove the substance again." The little bat seems to have obtained the curse seal after removing the substance. Chapter 468. 3 months passed in a hurry, and spring returned to the land. The rain country finally ushered in the first rain of the new year. Pitter-patter-patter. Walala. The rain was sometimes weak, and sometimes the wind fell suddenly, making a tinkling sound. It was a bit noisy, but it made people miss the rain. The rain country's civilian forbidden area, Akatsuki's residential area, martial arts practice field. On the field, a man and a woman were facing each other. Below the stage, people wearing bamboo hats to block the rain and black robes with fiery clouds were scattered around the stage, looking at the stage. I've been waiting for this day. Who do you think will win? Deidara's left eye was replaced with a new electronic eye. The red light on the electronic eye flashed, making Deidara look like a bomb in the countdown. It was a little dangerous, but also a little funny. The dangerous thing was that this guy was indeed a mobile arsenal that could explode at any time. The funny thing was, someone felt that this red signal light was very cool. So, he didn't hesitate to expose his position and insisted on leaving it unmodified. 50-50. A little flying squirrel wearing a necklace with a ring on the necklace replied. This little flying squirrel was also wearing a fire cloud trench coat and a bamboo hat on his head. The tassels on the bamboo hat were soaked by the rain, and at this time, the rain was flowing down. After replying, the little flying squirrel added, "After all, 5 hearts have been collected in Hayden's body, and, this winter, he seems to have developed a new ninjutsu, and the other one is doing beauty maintenance all winter." Deidara nodded and replied, "Well, but because of habit, most people can't really tell whether this is a daily well or an agreement. In that case, how about we bet on one side? The winner doesn't have to clean the room for a week, and the loser will do it all. There is a bet. Naruto won't miss it." In Naruto's view, a bet means an opportunity to cheat people. So he said, "Okay, but to be fair, I choose first." What does fairness have to do with who chooses first? At least it can't be seen in this game, but Deidara was still very generous and nodded in agreement. "Okay, you choose first." Naruto said decisively, "I choose the one with the big chest." Puff. A sound came from the side. It was a funny guy wearing an orange vortex mask. He was an intern who joined this winter. His name is Hoodlum. He is a weirdo who won't take off his mask for 24 hours x 360 days. His personality was talkative and playful. His biggest characteristic was that he loved to talk big, but in front of everyone in Akatsuki, he was very humble, and he called them senior very smoothly. Therefore, he is not annoying. But Deidara didn't like this kind of funny person because it was the opposite of his art. What is Deidara's art? Explosion. Cool. What are you laughing at? Deadale looked at him like an elder. Hoodlum shrunk his neck and awkwardly scratched the back of his head. "Ah, that. Senior, don't you think it's funny?" Deadale's left eye widened as he solemnly replied, Do you think I'm funny?" Hoodlum quickly waved his hand. No, no, no. I'm not talking about you. You will always be the coolest existence in this junior's heart. What this junior said is funny is that I choose the one with the big chest. In the Akatsuki, the only one who can call out Naruto's terrible name, Rat Grandpa, is Hoodlum. To some extent, this is also a kind of ability. Is it funny? Why don't I think so? What's funny? Deidara asked solemnly. Hoodlum quickly replied, that, this junior thought wrong, ha 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 ha. Hoodlum continued to scratch his head awkwardly. Naruto said seriously, big chest is justice. There is nothing wrong with choosing the one with the big chest. Hoodlum stared blankly for a moment, then started to flatter him non-stop. But it was quickly ended by Deidara. Since you choose Tsunade, then I will choose Hayden. After all, it's a 50-50 battle. It's the same who you choose. 50-50? Do you really think it's a 50-50 battle? This is the only legal opportunity to kill a member of the Akatsuki. Tsunade won't hold back, so Hayden is super dangerous. However, it's good to not clean up the house for a week. But then again, did Naruto clean up the house? Probably not. Then what's the meaning of this bet? Naruto was a little confused. But who cares? Righteously not tidying up the house would feel better than sleeping and fooling around. Everything was ready. Pain opened his mouth and said, "There is no limit in this competition. Let the competition begin." Pain's speech was as concise as ever. Then, the two chakra on the stage exploded, and the moment the energy expanded, the rain around them slowed down a bit. Chakra highly condensed, printed, and used the summoning technique. Tsunade didn't have the slightest intention of holding back, and she used all her strength. What was summoned wasn't the slug clone that Naruto had fun playing with, but a super big slug. Boom! The slug's body was soft, but when its huge body appeared, it still caused the ground to shake. Then it was the summoning ninjutsu. Slug, acid tongue. Acidic liquid sprayed out from the slug's mouth, and for a moment it looked like acid rain. The whole arena was covered in it. The acid fell on the ground, and the ground made a sizzling sound. Haiden's left arm mutated, and the black tentacles formed a black umbrella. Chakra on the black umbrella burst into flames, evaporating the acid rain that fell on it. This fighting style is a bit interesting. Zwa. I'll leave this acid to you. I'm going to rush up. Two black tentacles split from the body and turned into sharp sickle arms. At the same time, Haiden's speed was completely different from before. He ran like a cheetah. While dodging the acid spray, he approached Tsunade. Wind release. Evil God's great sickle. The tentacles stretched out and swept towards the slug's body. Wind attribute attack? No. Haiden's sickle arms burst into flames. This was the cooperation of Kakuzu. In this way, Haiden could use two types of chakra ninjutsu, forming combination ninjutsu. The huge fire sickle cut down with scorching heat. Haiden shouted, "Now it's a combination ninjutsu. Hell fire sickle." However, before fire sickle could dispel the slug, an incomparably huge slug suddenly collapsed like a collapsing sand sculpture, allowing the attack to strike through the air. Tsunade removed the summoning technique? No. It was just a big slug turned into a pile of extremely small individuals and scattered. This was slug ninjutsu, great slug split. Tsunade's palm suddenly appeared behind Haiden, and she mocked, "Where are you looking?" This was medical ninjutsu, flickering body rush. Chapter 469. Flickering Charge. Dead center. Haiden turned his head to look behind him in surprise. He said in surprise, "When did you?" Tsunade raised her foot. Tensho kick. Monstrous explosion. The explosion was the sound of stepping on the ground, but this attack missed. Haiden's sickle tentacle was nailed to the ground 50 meters away, and it directly pulled Haiden away from its original position. Waha. Haha. Where are you looking? How can such a slow attack hit me? While laughing, Haiden stretched out a tentacle and turned into a pitch-black arm that cooperated with his right hand to form a seal. Fire release. Head hard. Boom. A fireball flew out and landed on the ground. The seal changed again, and the wind attribute chakra's nature was activated. The fireball instantly turned into a wave of fire, sweeping away the remaining acid on the ground. This attack wasn't the main attack, but clearing the field. Outside the arena, Haiden whistled and said proudly, "Oh, it seems that one of Woodleaf Sannin is only a..." Woodleaf Sannin is only a... Naruto saw Tsunade's tactics clearly. It could be said that it was already very thorough. First, the psychic slug took the home field. Then, the strong acid attack restrained Haiden's ability to self-repair. Then, flickering charge disturbed the nerves and eliminated the enemy's resistance. Then, there was Tensho kick. It was true that Tensho kick was slow to gather power, but flickering charge should have been prepared long ago. The problem was that Tsunade's flickering charge was ineffective against Haiden. The most likely reason for this was that Haiden was dual-core and had two sets of control systems. One was Haiden, and the other was Kakuzu. Moreover, with all the abilities of Kakuzu and the fusion of 5 hearts, Haydn was indeed much more troublesome than before. But Tsunade didn't use all her strength. Well, Haydn didn't seem to have it either. Naruto replied, Haydn's progress is really great. It seems that I slept a little too much this winter. The battle on the field continued. Haydn didn't wait for the flames to go out. While the fire filled the entire field, Haydn used a new type of fire ninjutsu. He turned into a fireman, melted into the sea of fire, and chased after Tsunade. Ha ha, ha ha. Hurry up and show me your true strength. You weren't this weak last time. Haydn's sickle tentacles wrapped around Tsunade and then turned into thin silk. The fine threads pierced into his flesh. Blood flowed out and was directly absorbed by the tentacles. Fei Duan's body stiffened, and he said in disappointment, I got the blood just like that. This time, you are so weak. Then there's no need to continue with the preliminaries. Tentacles sprang out from his left hand, forming a circle on the outside and a triangle in the middle. The pattern, or perhaps the ritual, was right behind Haydn, just like the background. Secret technique. Death by blood. Fei Duan's face was covered with the curse mark of a white skeleton. The curse mark covered his entire body, and it was pitch black. Are you ready? I'm going to sacrifice you to the Lord Evil God. As he spoke, Fei Dan pulled out a short knife from his back. Plunge. Horizontal pull. It was the orthodox Japanese practice of suicide by disembowelment. Strangely, no blood flowed out. The one who was bleeding was Tsunade. The game is over. Now say goodbye to this world. Tsunade's body trembled and struggled. She seemed to have become fatter and more bloated. Boom! The transformation technique was lifted. It wasn't Tsunade who was stabbed, but Slug. A small slug. The slug's body was cut with a long cut. It was very ferocious, but it quickly healed. It seemed that there was no danger to her life. Ten's Ho kick. Tsunade's foot smashed from behind Haydn. This kick didn't hit him again. Haydn was kicked out horizontally, from one end of the field to the other. It didn't stop until it hit the wooden stake. It wasn't the wooden stake of a tree trunk, but Ju's mokuton. Ju's head popped out from above. For the record, I didn't help him. I just didn't want him to fly too far and destroy the building. After all, we didn't have much income this winter. We're short on funds. After making the statement, Ju's body merged back into the ground and returned to the stands outside the field. Tsunade stood in place and shouted, Hey! How strong was that kick? Haydn stood up as if nothing had happened. Ha ha. Although I didn't get your blood, it's not bad to use your psychic beast's blood. All the harm you've done to me has been transferred to your spiritual beast. So, the strength of this kick is a little weak for me. Tsunade frowned and looked at Slug, who had an expression of eating shit. Hey, are you okay? Slug's voice trembled. Woo-woo, it hurts. Haydn's tentacles shot over. This is a battle. Where are your eyes? Tsunade nimbly dodged the stab launched by the sickle tentacles. Haydn sneered. Do you think you can dodge it? The tentacles contracted, and Haydn's body was pulled over like a slingshot. Speed up. At the same time, the nature of the wind attribute chakra changed. Haydn rushed towards Tsunade. Tsunade used her monstrous strength to forcefully dodge Haydn's impact. She seized the opportunity to step on Haydn's back. Creak. The sound of bones shattering could be heard. However, strangely, Haydn continued to attack without any pain. It doesn't hurt at all. All your attacks now fall on your psychic beast. Slug whimpered. Woo-woo, Tsunade-sama, it hurts. Tsunade's expression became serious. Haydn was as slippery as a loach. His body changed shape and shuttled around Tsunade. Then, the current you, how are you going to deal with it? Outside the arena, Deidara sighed. No matter how many times I see this ability of his, it feels like cheating. In the past, it was okay. He could only stay in the curse seal in the same place. Now that he has fused with Kaku, the curse seal can run with him. Sigh. It's more of a headache. Naruto sighed. It's quite a headache. After all, it's the power of rules. Deidara was stunned and asked, What did you say? Naruto didn't answer. 3 months ago, after Yakushi's pocket extracted the special substance from the Sakuragi sisters, Naruto asked Yakushi's pocket to extract the cells in Deidara's body once. Then, a similar substance was extracted. To put it simply, it was a curse seal pattern. A curse seal pattern with the rules of immortality. At least, it was immortal on this planet. In this way, the identity of the Lord Evil God behind Haiden was self-evident. After knowing this truth, Naruto thought a lot. He wondered if Haiden could really hear the voice of the Lord Evil God. If he could really hear it, and it was the Lord Evil God who told him to kill, then that would be intriguing. Chapter 470. Hey! How are you going to deal with me now? Haiden's sickle tentacles slashed at Tsunade one after another. Tsunade lifted the boulder and threw it over. She thought that Haiden's tentacles would cut the boulder into pieces. This way she could buy some time. Who knew that Haiden suddenly retracted his tentacles and let the boulder hit him? The result could be imagined. Haiden was fine, but Katsuyu's body was flattened under the effect of the rules. Tsunade-sama. I feel like I'm dying. Tsunade frowned. This was the first time she had encountered such a troublesome and frustrating enemy. It's simply a rascal. In the stands, Zetsu leisurely made sarcastic remarks. Oh, Haiden's strength has improved a lot. In such an organization, I'm afraid there aren't many people who can deal with him. Even if it's Genjutsu, because the two of them are one, it will be greatly reduced. Zetsu looked at Uchiha Itachi and continued, it's even ineffective. The voice of this sentence wasn't low. Itachi should have heard it, but he ignored it. As calm as ever, he continued to watch the game. Deidara frowned. When he was defeated by Uchiha Itachi, he decided to join the Akatsuki. Because he knew the horror of Uchiha Itachi's Genjutsu, he had been practicing against Genjutsu. It was to concentrate his spiritual power to the extreme. Also, there was the electronic eye on his left eye. Haiden. Can he also break Itachi's Genjutsu? Deidara looked at the missile on the stage and sneered with some anger. What, Genjutsu is just a... At this time, there was another change under the stage. Haiden was injured. Tsunade didn't enter the state of Baihao Jutsu and stepped on Haiden to the ground. Tsunade looked down at Haiden condescendingly. It seems that I won the bet. Haiden coughed up blood and looked at Tsunade in disbelief. Many fractures on his body made him temporarily unable to move. He was horrified. What did you do? According to common sense, the attack he received should be transferred to Tsunade's summon beast. Haiden looked at Tsunade's summon beast. Tsunade smiled and said, What? Did you notice? With that said, a heavy hammer fist from top to bottom hit Haiden's heart. He wanted to shatter Fei Duan's heart. However, Flying Duan's body suddenly twisted and deformed. A hole appeared in its chest before it was hit, causing the punch to hit the ground and miss. I did. Fei Duan's body turned into a black liquid and flowed into the crevice of the stone. Then, it condensed into a person in another location. The sickle tentacles swept towards the slug. The slug did not dodge and was directly destroyed. Bang! It disappeared. That was the result of the shadow clone technique being destroyed. As expected, it seems that I have underestimated you. I didn't expect that the weakness of this technique would be exposed. At this time, Katsuyu was no longer here, and Tsunade's shadow clone jutsu was all around. So when did Tsunade do it? Fei Duan recalled the battle just now. It was when his head was stuffed into a stone by Tsunade. At that time, his vision was obstructed. Tsunade also took advantage of this opportunity to cancel the summoning jutsu and then used Shadow Clone Jutsu to transform into Slug. The curse seal on Fei Duan's face began to disappear, and Death's Blood mode was removed. If the target is too far away from me, I won't be able to transmit the damage. It's reasonable to say that this isn't a weakness, but who told me to use this technique on your summoned beast? Oh, what a pity. But Fei Duan's expression became serious, and his tone paused. Then, he suddenly said arrogantly, "This is more interesting." At the same time that Death's Blood curse seal was removed, the ritual technique formed by Kakuzu tentacles behind Fei Duan was also retracted. Then, the tentacles exploded. Dozens of sickle tentacles launched a fierce attack towards Tsunade. At the same time, Fei Duan didn't stop in place and rushed towards Tsunade. His right hand held the short knife that the tentacles helped to pick up. This was a close combat attack against Tsunade. The people below the stage were full of praise for the flying segment's mobility. Just now, it should have been broken by the kick, right? How did this guy recover so quickly? Deidara couldn't help but touch his clay package. He didn't know if he wanted to blow it up first. But last time, Deidara's big pineapple also blew up Fei Duan. But Fei Duan used Death's Blood curse to transfer the damage to a small animal underground. Naruto said, "It should be another body repair mechanism on Fei Duan." Another body repair mechanism, not immortal, but Kakuzu's auxiliary repair. Fei Duan was difficult to deal with now. Under the stage, Tsunade's power erupted and once again hammered Fei Duan out. Then, the hand seal finally entered the state of Baihao Jutsu. Strange power outbreak. This time, it was Tsunade's turn to crush Fei Duan. The tentacles that were chopping towards Tsunade were pulled out from Fei Duan's body. Then, she hit him in the abdomen. Hook. Whip kick. After a series of violent combos, Fei Duan's body smashed into the ground, leaving a big pit. Then, Tsunade's hand seals again, summoning technique. The slug was summoned back again. Then the slug ninjutsu, slug, sticky teeth. Strong acid spray. This should be solved, right? The slug's strong acid is very strong. Not to mention organic matter, even inorganic matter, steel shale will be corroded when it encounters it. The acid filled the deep pit that Tsunade smashed out at a speed visible to the naked eye. The sound of sizzling echoed in her ears. However, what Tsunade didn't expect was that a tentacle suddenly rushed up from under the slug's body and stabbed Tsunade's body. This time, I finally got your blood. Although it's a bit difficult, it can still be used. In the strong acid, Fei Duan's body stood up. Fei Duan's body was strongly corroded. Standing in the acid, his legs had been carbonized, and the muscles fell off, revealing the white bones at a speed visible to the naked eye. Kakuzu's tentacles had formed a ritual circle. Death's Blood curse activated. Tsunade, who was on the slug's body, moved the corrosion on Fei Duan to Tsunade's body. Tsunade's muscles began to carbonize. Tsunade-sama. The slug's eyes turned over. Although its body was penetrated, it wasn't much of an injury for the slug. It was precisely because of this that the slug's body was so easily penetrated by Kakuzu's tentacles. This was the slug's characteristic, and now, it has become a weakness. Tsunade's head was already sweating from the pain. She gritted her teeth and said, "You're very strong, but the battle has just begun." Tsunade's hand seals, creating regeneration under the Baihao Jutsu mode. The mark on Tsunade's body changed shape. The moment the ninjutsu was launched, the wound on Tsunade's body began to quickly heal. Fei Duan raised his dagger and stabbed it to the abdomen. The damage was transferred to Tsunade's body. A wound appeared on Tsunade's abdomen. Tsunade's eyebrows trembled with a headache, and she grinned, "I won't die until chakra is exhausted." Immediately after, the wound on the abdomen began to heal. Fei Duan placed the dagger across his neck and slowly stabbed it. How about this? Chapter 471. Haiden's short sword pierced the skin, and a small sword mark appeared on Tsunade's neck. The creation regeneration jutsu under Baihao Jutsu was very strong. But no matter how strong it was, it would be over if the head was cut off. After all, Tsunade's jutsu was a healing technique, which was based on a large amount of yang chakra. He wasn't truly immortal. Save Tsunade. Stop Haiden from cutting off his head. But how to save her? At this moment, the Akatsuki's members were all here, and as long as he made a move, he would be discovered. However, even if he was discovered, he couldn't sit idly by. Naruto was ready, and his spiritual body and the little flying squirrel's spiritual world cut off the connection. Just as he was about to rush out of the body to control Haiden, another change occurred. The curse of Shinobi's blood was lifted. Then, Fei Duan fell straight to the ground. Naruto was about to rush out of the little flying squirrel's body when his spiritual body stopped abruptly. Was this a turnaround? Did Tsunade do something to Haiden? Or was Haiden physically weak? It was impossible. Although the battle just now was fierce, Naruto estimated that the two of them could last at least a few hours. But no matter what, this was the best time for Tsunade to launch a counterattack. Naruto looked at Tsunade. Tsunade's body was a little shaky. Then Tsunade leaned back and fell down. Silence. Both of them have lost the ability to fight. This match is a draw. Now begin the rescue. A draw? Naruto jumped down into the field. He didn't rush to Tsunade, but first came to Haiden. Haiden's face was pale, and his lips were purple. Naruto further examined him and diagnosed that he was poisoned. Then Naruto approached Tsunade, and Katsuyu looked at the approaching person with vigilance. Deidara said, "This battle is over, and no one will harm Tsunade. Give Tsunade to us, so we can hurry up and treat her." Katsuyu was about to refuse, but Tsunade said, "I'm fine now." Saying that, the summoning technique was lifted, and Tsunade fell down. Tsunade looked at Haiden and mocked, "I can still fight, and it's a draw?" After he said that, everyone looked at Yahiko with hesitation. Yahiko didn't speak. It was Haiden who spoke on the stage. "I can fight too." As he spoke, Fei Duan, who looked like a corpse earlier, actually came back to life. "I didn't expect you to poison your blood. That's impressive." Tsunade frowned, looked at Haiden who stood up with a tired face, and sighed, "I didn't expect you to be able to stand up after being poisoned by me." Fei Duan coughed out a mouthful of black blood. Then, Fei Duan's complexion visibly improved. "Ah. Your poison paralyzed Kakuzu's body, so the operation was stopped. Otherwise, it won't work on me. I didn't expect the fusion with Kakuzu to have such a weakness. Looks like I'll have to work harder on this." Haiden raised his left hand. His left hand was connected to Kakuzu's tentacle, and it was still a little stiff. Pain Yahiko said expressionlessly, "If you are dissatisfied with the verdict, the game can continue." The atmosphere became tense again for a while. Haiden's body was as dry as a sluggish robot. He turned his head to look at the stands, and said with a sad face, "Don't, a draw is good really." As he said that, he glanced at Tsunade, gave her a wink, and said, "Don't you think so? You're tired too, right? Let's call it a day, everyone go home, wash up, and sleep." Tsunade looked at Haiden. Can she still kill this guy at this time? The possibility is very low. More importantly, the consumption of Baihao Jutsu isn't that great now, but if she continues, her appearance will be at least 10 years older. Forget it, Tsunade agreed. Well, let's call it a draw. Tsunade lifted the Baihao Jutsu. Naruto looked at Tsunade. Tsunade's lips were also a little purple. Tsunade was also poisoned? Impossible, right? Since Tsunade poisoned her body, there must be an antidote. Then, Naruto looked at Haiden and thought of a possibility. The Sea of Death could use blood to transfer the damage to the enemy. So, did Haiden transfer the poison effect to Tsunade? If that was the case, then the Flying Undead's ability to rely on blood was not to transfer the attack back to its original target. Because Tsunade has the antidote. It's the effect of the poison on Haiden. To put it simply, it's not the poison that was transferred to Tsunade, but the effect of poisoning. Interesting. You all agreed? Then the game is over. From today on, no one is allowed to fight privately. Tendo Pain glanced at the two and then announced, "Let's set the grouping today." Grouping? A team on a mission? Naruto looked at Tsunade and Hayden strangely. Don't tell me, these two are in the same group, right? Then it's going to be interesting. But Tendo Pain turned to look at Naruto. You and Hayden are in the same group. What? Naruto's cute mouse eyes widened. He pointed at himself in disbelief and said, "You mean me?" Deidara retorted, "It's my summoned beast, this," Yahiko said. "Isn't this good? So if you two encounter a strong enemy during the mission, you can call each other for support." Huh? Support each other? You can do that? Naruto understood Yahiko's words. If he and Hayden are in the same group, he can summon Deidara if they encounter trouble. Similarly, if Deidara's group is in trouble, he can summon him. In a sense, this is a really good grouping. There's no problem with it. Then Yahiko looked at Tsunade. "Tsunade, you and Zetsu will be in the same group. By the way, I'll reiterate the rules of the organization. First, the members of the organization are forbidden to fight privately. Second, mutual supervision is forbidden to leak the organization's information. If there is a violation, it will be dealt with as betraying the organization and will be hunted down by others." Yahiko's eyes stopped at Naruto and Tsunade. Obviously, this sentence was meant for the two new members. Then Yahiko said to Konan, "Assign the mission of encircling the underground exchange." Encircling the underground exchange. Has the Akatsuki completely grasped the information of the underground exchange? But, isn't this a bit too early? After all, according to the development of the original world, Kakuzu still sells the heads of the land to the underground exchange. In other words, the underground exchange was still there at that time. It could also be another situation. Maybe the Akatsuki killed most of the members of the underground exchange, and then, controlled the rest. Shao Nan gave everyone a mission booklet. There was a series of information on the mission manual. Among them, Naruto saw an acquaintance. Hirako. Name: Hirako. Gender: male. Level: SS. Ability: Ghost Sprout Technique, Multiple Kekii Genkai, Mist Release, Steel Release. There was a long list of other information below. Naruto shook his head. He won't accept this task. It's too difficult. A guy who can destroy the world in the movie. He'll leave it to Pain. However, Hayden suddenly shouted, "This guy has a Kekii Genkai. This mission is tailor-made for me. I'll take it." What? Naruto's body suddenly stiffened. Kekii Genkai. Don't tell me. Chapter 472. In the eastern border of the Earth Country, there were cliffs and barren rocks. Looking down from the sky, one could see a jagged rocky beach. It was vast, without any greenery, water, or life. The cold wind poured into the jagged rocks, and from time to time, there would be a strange woo-woo sound. In this kind of place, perhaps even snakes, rats, and insects wouldn't settle here, but today, two people broke in one after another. The one in front had a golden hedgehog head and was wearing an orange ninja costume. The one behind was a ninja with half of his face covered, only revealing one eye. These two were. The person in front suddenly accelerated and fled into a stone valley. It was a relatively low-lying tunnel with rocks on both sides that looked like nepenthes crisscrossing each other. Because it was very big, it was not an exaggeration to say that it was a valley. And from the traces of sand on the ground, it could be seen that there was a river or a stream here. Entering the stone valley, sunlight shone through the intersecting stone pillars above, leaving a shadow at the bottom of the valley. The stone valley was quiet, making people not sure if the person in front was here. "Kakashi, long time no see. I didn't expect to meet again in this way. And, you look alone. Does this count as a free gift?" The low voice echoed in the valley, sometimes far and sometimes close, making people unable to figure out the speaker's position. Kakashi, the person with silver-gray hair and a mask, put his hand on his weapon and vigilantly said, "Who are you? Why are you pretending to be Naruto?" The person in the dark was surprised. "Since you know I'm pretending, then why are you chasing me?" While speaking, a person walked out from the shadow of the stone pillar. The person was about 1.5 meters tall, wearing a white long-sleeved trench coat. The trench coat was very big, and the sleeves were very long. The person's hand only reached half of the sleeves. At the same time, from top to bottom, there were 3 black belts on the neck, chest, and waist. The belts were slightly tied to the clothes, making the clothes look fitting, or it could barely be worn. The face of the petite figure in the trench coat was wrapped in bandages. Her face couldn't be seen, only light purple hair and delicate eyebrows could be seen. "Is this a girl?" No, from the rough and deep voice of this person, the other party seemed to be male. Kakashi stared at the person in front of him. There was no one in his memory who could match this person. "Who are you?" Kakashi tightened his grip on big white teeth. Although the other party's figure was petite, there was always a sense of danger in her heart. The man also looked at Kakashi and smiled. "Perhaps you already don't remember my name. My name is Hirako. We've met when you were young, Hirako?" Kakashi tried his best to recall. There seemed to be such a person in the unseen world, but if that person was still alive, he shouldn't be as small as this. The person on the other side said, "Ah, it's me. In the original plan, it would have been another 2 years before I would have met you. After all, there are still a few years before the Golden Ring solar eclipse. But, since you left Woodleaf alone, it's not a bad choice to capture you first." At the same time, in the Rain Country, the little flying squirrel Naruto roared, "I absolutely don't agree to accept this mission." Hayden ran to Naruto's side. His speed was very agile, and it seemed that Tsunade's poison had been reduced a lot. He exclaimed, "Why? This is a ninja with a Kekii Genkai. Do you know how much I need this person's heart? If I defeat him and get his heart, I can become stronger." "Become stronger? What does that have to do with me?" Naruto rolled his eyes and continued to reply, "I refuse to accept this mission." Hayden insisted, "This mission must be mine. If you don't agree, then I will complete it alone." As he said that, he looked at Conan. Conan refused. SS level mission. In order to avoid unnecessary casualties, you must accept the mission in the form of a team. Hayden struggled. Must it be in the form of a team? "I'm very strong now." "That's right. How about I separate Kakuzu so that Kakuzu and I can be counted as a team?" Conan shook her head and said, "Sorry, the 2 of you can only be counted as one person now." Hayden, who was rejected, looked at the little flying squirrel Naruto powerlessly again. His face turned green and red, and he looked like he was about to get angry, but in the end, he endured it. He asked, "Why did you refuse?" "The reward for this mission is also the most. Look at the back, there are so many zeros." Naruto's dead fish eyes stared at Hayden, the only double SS level mission in the mission list. "If you want to die, I don't want to accompany you." Hayden leaned closer to Naruto and whispered, "That. Please pretend to agree first. If you are afraid of death, you can just hide when the time comes. Don't worry, I can handle it alone." Hayden's persistence in the Kekii Genkai can be seen. So, should he agree? Hiding seems to be a good idea. But Naruto always felt that if he really accepted it, he would be unable to get rid of the trouble when the time comes. This was an inexplicable intuition. "Please, how about I give you the reward for the mission? Uncle Canteen's roasted whole lamb is not bad, right? With this money, it's enough for you to eat to your heart's content. Do you think this little reward can move me? Then you are looking down on me, Naruto. My assets in Snow Country are no less than the national treasury of Rain Country. But then again, Naruto can't use that money now." This was because money that could not be explained clearly would attract unnecessary attention. In other words, if you want to eat roasted whole lamb, you have to use clean money, not Naruto's. His Uncle Canteen's roasted lamb leg. Thinking about it, Naruto's saliva couldn't help but flow out. He quietly replied, "You said it, you go face to face, I'll just watch the show from the side?" Naruto was a little tempted. Hayden nodded repeatedly. Naruto nodded and said, "Okay then." Hayden immediately said to Xiao Nan, "It also agreed. Now I'll take this mission." Xiao Nan's face was dark. She shouted, "Do you think I'm deaf? Who can't hear the two of you whispering?" The people around them burst into laughter. This is simply a live version of crying for stupidity. Deidara even held his stomach and lay down. The puppet Scorpion had a good demeanor. However, Scorpion, who usually smiles without showing his teeth, showed his white teeth today. It can be seen that Scorpion's heart is quite happy. When the laughter gradually stopped, Yahiko opened his mouth. "Let Hoodlum join your team. At the critical moment, we can summon Deidara. It won't be too difficult for the four of us to complete this mission together." Xiao Nan was slightly surprised and looked at Yahiko. "So you agree to let him accept this mission?" Yahiko nodded. Hoodlum, who was wearing an orange vortex mask, shouted, "Ah? SS level mission? Me? That? Seniors, that? As a newcomer who just joined as an intern. Isn't my mission a bit too difficult?" However, the people present didn't seem to care about him. Hoodlum, who was wearing a mask, could only scratch his head awkwardly. He muttered, that. Since seniors think I can complete it, then I can definitely complete it. Ha. So awkward, super awkward, isn't it? Chapter 473. Senpai, how much longer do we have to walk? Senpai, we seem to have already walked this path, right? Senpai, wait for me. Senpai, I can't walk anymore. When they first set off, Naruto quite enjoyed this masked hoodlum calling him senpai, but soon he was annoyed. He looked back at Hoodlum, who was walking stiffly like a zombie with his hands in front of him. Was it that exaggerated? They had only walked for a few hours, right? If he remembered correctly, half of this masked comrade's body had been transformed by the first-generation cells. First-generation cells. He was so tired after walking a few steps. His acting was a bit too much. Pretending to be weak should have some integrity, right? Naruto was about to shout angrily, but then he thought about it. He wasn't in a hurry, so why not? Cough cough, since that hoodlum is already so tired, let's take a rest. Fei Duan stopped in his tracks and frowned at Hoodlum, who was so tired that his soul was about to leave his body. Hey, do you have to be so useless? If your body isn't good, then exercise more. Have you been playing with balls in the dormitory this winter? Plop. Hoodlum fell to the ground and said pitifully, "I'm really sorry, this junior's physical strength is really not good. This junior will definitely exercise diligently in the future." Fei Duan sighed. Why did boss arrange for a burden like you to come in? Having a burden is already bad enough. What do you think I am? A nanny? Huh? Having a burden is already bad enough? Was he talking about him? Naruto narrowed his eyes and glanced at Fei Duan. You said I'm a burden? Why don't we fight again? Fei Duan turned his head and looked at his shoulder. At this moment, the fist-sized flying squirrel was standing on Fei Duan's shoulder and hitching a ride. If you don't summon that guy Deidara, I'll fight with you again. Naruto said disdainfully. TSK, didn't you also fuse with little Zwa Zwa in your body? Besides, the summoning technique belongs to the ninja's strength, okay? Fei Duan wanted to say that it was a pity that he was a ninja and not a ninja. But after thinking about it, he decided not to. This sentence would definitely incite a battle. He turned around and lectured Hoodlum, "You should also take the time to rest. We'll continue our journey in 10 minutes. Hoodlum suddenly raised his head and exclaimed, "What? Just 10 minutes?" Fei Duan said matter-of-factly, There's a small town 50 kilometers ahead. You can rest for a while when you get there. Upon hearing that there was a small town ahead, Hoodlum heaved a sigh of relief and rolled into the shade of a tree. Naruto looked at Hoodlum, who was rolling on the ground, and the corners of his mouth twitched. This guy was a little mischievous. Under the shade of the tree, Hoodlum took out his water skin and sat down cross-legged, intending to drink some water. However, he stopped. Do you want to know what I look like? Fei Duan turned his head and asked curiously, Are you going to take off your mask? Speaking of which, ever since you joined Akatsuki, I have never seen you take off your mask. Hoodlum placed his hand on the edge of the mask and lifted it slightly. You want to know? His tone and actions paused for a moment. Then, he disappeared into the forest behind him. Behind him, Hoodlum shouted, But I won't show you. Ha, it's not an ordinary skin. Fei Duan raised his eyebrows. It seemed like he was gnashing his teeth in hatred. Tesuke, I don't care what you look like. Hoodlum finished drinking water in the forest and ran back. Ahahaha, are you angry? Ahahaha, I won't show you. Fei Duan stood up with a dark face. From the speed at which you disappeared, you don't seem to be tired. Let's continue on our way. Saying that, he turned around and walked away. Hoodlum's body stiffened and fell to the ground. He wailed, Senior. Don't. I really can't take it anymore. Let's rest for a while. Fei Duan's mouth twitched and he quickened his pace. Senior. Why don't I secretly let you see my real face? Senior. Don't go. Senior. Naruto jumped onto Fei Duan's shoulder. With the principle of free rides, Naruto would never give up any opportunity to slack off. Hurry up and catch up. Otherwise, we won't rest when we reach the small town. Fei Duan's shout was effective. Hoodlum behind him rolled and crawled to catch up. Senior. Please don't. That will kill someone. It will really kill someone. Ha! Pretending to be a coward to this extent, he is also a talent. Or, Obito's nature is a pure joker. Yes, there is no doubt it must be so. But, speaking of which, should she secretly remove that guy's mask of acting as a bee? Naruto turned around and looked at Hoodlum. That orange mask that only revealed one right eye was an eyesore no matter how one looked at it. Right eye, right half of the body. This half of his body was the half that was smashed under the rock. It should have been filled up by the first-generation cells. Because of this person, his mother in this life met with misfortune. Thinking of his mother in this life, Naruto thought of Orochimaru again. I don't know if that guy was pretending to take the ashes of the fourth generation's Naruto couple? Or will he reincarnate? If he reincarnates, how will he face it? Rat Senior. Why do I feel a trace of murderous aura from you? You are not going to kill me, are you? Hoodlum suddenly stood in place, exaggeratedly holding his body and trembling. Naruto was surprised and replied, I am thinking about whether to kill you and then take off your mask. Because I am also curious about what you look like under the mask. Hoodlum's trembling body stopped, pleasantly surprised. Senior wants to know what I look like. Then you don't have to kill me, I will let you see. Hoodlum raised his hand to take off the mask. Oh. Obito is really willing to take off his mask. Naruto was surprised, his attention unconsciously focused on Obito's face. At the same time, Fei Duan also curiously stopped and turned to look. Then Hoodlum's mask was taken off under the watchful eyes of a human and a rat, revealing another mask. Naruto felt like he was struck by lightning. The lightning was crispy on the outside and tender on the inside. He raised his hand and a wind blade slashed at the mask. Hoodlum's movements were very fast. He ducked and dodged. He cried, Senior, you don't really want to kill me, do you? I was wrong. Let me go. Naruto wanted to summon his body, and then kill this bitch directly for revenge. It's too cheap. It's so cheap that it makes people's teeth itch. I don't think he is tired at all. Let's not rest. Let's go straight through the town to the country of Earth. Fei Duan agreed. Ah. I don't think this guy is tired at all. Don't stop. Go straight to the country of Earth. Hearing this sentence, Hoodlum, who pretended to be super scared, was stiff and cried again. No. Senior, I was really wrong. If you go on like this, you will really die. Naruto pretended not to hear. Anyway, he didn't have to walk whether he was in a hurry or not. Fei Duan pretended not to hear. His body strengthened by horns made his physical fitness not a problem at all. In addition, if he is tired, there are 5 hearts in the body to supply chakra. Senior. Chapter 474. Hoodlum, or rather, Obito, is a joker. Of course, this isn't important to Naruto. What's important is that this person is the one who killed his father. You want to kill that guy? Why? I think that guy is quite cute. The moment Naruto's killing intent rose in his heart, the one who felt it the most was Nine Tails, who was connected to Naruto in real time. Cute. Why kill? How can this be explained? If you didn't lose your memory, you might want to kill him more than I do. Nine Tails was surprised. Is that so? Then he's an enemy? Naruto simply replied, well, he's an enemy. Nine Tails simply said, oh, so he's an enemy, then let's kill him. By the way, is that Haiden also an enemy? Flying Duan and Zhao destroyed 01's arm and killed 02 and 03. More recently, they almost killed Tsunade not long ago. It must be an enemy. Yes. Nine Tails smirked. Then let's kill them together, ha ha ha. Logically speaking, if he's an enemy, then kill. There's nothing wrong with that. But in reality, Obito's Kamui Sharingan can teleport. Haiden has an immortal body, and he also has a cheat like Kakuzu. In short, it's difficult. Nine Tails casually suggested, find a suitable place for an ambush, and then summon Tobirama and the others to surround them. Naruto shook his head. Instead of finding a place to ambush, it's better to let them fight with Hiriko, and then the Sandpiper and the Clam fight, and then the fisherman benefits. Nine Tails thought for a while and wondered, isn't that just looking for a place to surround them? Naruto, Nine Tails is right, it's still a siege, just adding a time and place. Naruto immediately called a meeting of the Great Snow Mountain. The members of the meeting were all 4-star members of the Great Snow Mountain Research Institute. Naruto announced the information to everyone sitting in the room. Akatsuki, Haiden, and Obito, as well as Hiriko. Upon seeing Hiriko's name, Gurney was the first to speak. Hiriko must die. Naruto was also aware of the grudge between the trio and Hiriko. When they were in Woodleaf, Hiriko used his identity as the owner of the underground trading house to pressure Woodleaf to hand over the 3 of them. Yes, Hiriko will die. Not just Hiriko, only by killing all of them would it be perfect. Everyone looked at the other people's information again. His expression turned serious. Tobirama was more concerned about Hiriko's background, so he asked, the information says, this guy used to be a ninja from Woodleaf? Naruto answered simply, yes, it's a person who originally had a lower aptitude. In order to become stronger, he researched the ghost germinal technique, which can devour other people's bloodline limits. Later, he was discovered. He betrayed the village and joined an organization called the Underground Exchange. Tobirama said with interest, a ninjutsu that can devour other Kekkei Genkai. Sounds interesting. It would be great if I could study it. Well, study it? This is something that only the second Naruto who developed the Edo Tensei can say. If it was the first Naruto, it would be a different story. Naruto replied, if there is a chance, I will try it. Hearing Naruto's reply, Tobirama was very happy, but Gurney and the other girls weren't happy. Naruto noticed this and quickly changed the topic. Let's look at their abilities, it won't be easy to deal with them. In the virtual conference room, Tobirama picked up the information of another person, Uchiha Obito. After looking at the details of Obito, Tobirama sighed and didn't mention anything else, but talked about his abilities. How far can this Kamui Manjikyu Sharingan teleport? Is there an exact value? Naruto shook his head and said, no, but it should be farther than the Flying Thunder God Jutsu. Hearing this sentence, Tobirama pondered and muttered, then it will be difficult to kill him, and he has an illusory ability. Transferring the body to another dimension, this ability. The Uchiha clan is really annoying. Uzumaki Mito, who was next to Tobirama, said, the teleportation ninjutsu can be used to limit the range of teleportation. Everyone looked at him. Tobirama asked, tell me more details. At the border of the land of Earth, the trees were getting sparser, and the wind was getting stronger. From time to time, the dust was blowing. It's getting late, let's rest for the night and continue tomorrow. Tobirama looked up at the burning clouds in the sky. Forming a hand seal, the ground beneath their feet abruptly sank. The soil turned over, and after a few meters, the top was sealed again. Senpai, are we going to rest underground? Yes. Senpai, that, we haven't eaten yet, this soldier food pill. Yesterday we could eat roasted rabbit, but today we eat soldier food pill? Do you want to eat? If you don't eat, you will be hungry. Eat. Naruto was very silent. He stuffed a soldier food pill into his mouth and found a corner to sleep. Hoodlum asked, Rat Senpai? Naruto didn't answer. After a while, Senpai? Tobirama didn't answer at first, but Hoodlum called again, Senpai. Tobirama replied irritably, if you have something to say, say it. Hoodlum's momentum disappeared, and his voice lowered a few points, and he said timidly, it's nothing. I just ate a soldier food pill, it's so bad. Tobirama. Silence. Silence. In the dark pit, only a few rays of moonlight faintly shone through the vent. After a while, there was a sound of insects around. These insects were not dense. After all, there were very few trees and vegetation around. With fewer trees, there would be less living environment, and fewer insects would live here. The sound of the insects was sometimes far and sometimes near. It was very light and could help people sleep. Hayden found some feeling and was about to enter sleep mode. However, at this moment, Hoodlum suddenly shouted, Senior Flying Duan, do you have barbecue-flavored soldier grain pills? The smell of boogers is too disgusting, so I vomited. I realized that I don't have any more soldier food pills, so I'm still a little hungry. Fei Duan, who was about to fall asleep, was woken up by this sound. He immediately got up and exploded with anger. Soldier grain pills? The smell of barbecue? Hungry? What does it have to do with me? Without another word, Fei Duan used its left tentacle to lift Hoodlum up, and used its small whip. Pa pa pa. She jerked violently. Shouts didn't exist as the tentacles wrapped around Hoodlum's mask and pressed it against his face, blocking out all sounds. There was only the sound of humiliation. After a round of beating, a bottle of pills was thrown to Hoodlum's side. He threatened, there are barbecue-flavored, curry-flavored, and roast chicken-flavored, so stop bothering me. If you continue to annoy me, I'll beat you up. At the same time, Naruto's spirit body had already returned to the Great Snow Mountain Research Institute. Naruto was lying on the operating table with Apothecary Pocket beside him. Begin the transplant. Chapter 475. Be careful, I'll have to put my eye back in the future. On the operating table, Naruto reminded Medicine Master Pocket. Medicine Master Pocket nodded solemnly. Then the operation began. They were going to remove Naruto's left eye. Medicine Master Pocket looked at Naruto's eyes. Naruto's pupils were so red that it made his heart palpitate. They were like blood, and they were vertical pupils, but surprisingly, they were not ferocious. He was very healthy. There were no traces of blood on the whites of his eyes. It could be seen that Naruto's work and rest were very healthy. He ate well and slept well. Medicine Master Pocket raised his hand. Chakra scalpel condensed and prepared to cut the nerves in Naruto's eye. Naruto suddenly said, "Wait a minute." Medicine Master Pocket immediately stopped. "What's wrong? Do you want to stop the operation?" Naruto replied, "No, I suddenly feel that it might be easier if I do the operation myself." As he spoke, Naruto controlled chakra to flow into the nerves in the eye. After finding the right position, chakra condensed into chakra scalpel and cut. Then, the capillaries in the eye were cut. With another wave of his hand, Shosue's eyeballs were carried out of the incubator by Naruto's chakra. Switch. Healing. The operation was completed. Naruto sat up and looked at Medicine Master Pocket. "How is it?" "Not bad, right?" Medicine Master Pocket looked at Naruto's eyes hesitantly and said uncertainly, "Well, if you don't look sideways, it looks pretty good." "Sideways?" Naruto moved his eyeballs. Shosue's eyes did seem to be a little off track. "Well, I'll adjust it later." Then, Naruto closed his eyes. He opened them again, cross-eyed. Close. Open, close. After repeating this 3 or 4 times, Naruto's eyes finally synchronized. "Is it good now?" Naruto looked at Medicine Master Pocket and asked. Medicine Master Pocket seriously flattered, "Perfect." Naruto raised his hand and an ice mirror appeared in Naruto's hand. Naruto looked at himself in the ice mirror and looked at his new Sharingan. The initial appearance of this eye is that of a 3-tomo Sharingan. As for the view, Naruto looked around and found that the ground seemed to be bulging. The same went for the walls. She was still a little dizzy, as if she had worn the old man's reading glasses at the door. "I feel like I still need some time to get used to this eye." The pharmacist said, "After all, it's not the original eye, and you just finished the operation." Naruto opened and closed his eyes one after another, comparing the differences. "This eye was prepared for Obito. Everyone says that Koto Amatsukami is awesome. Naruto wants to see if he can take Obito. If he could, then sparing Obito's life was not impossible. But, how do I use this Sharingan? You just need to inject chakra?" Naruto seemed to be asking Medicine Master Pocket, but it was more like he was talking to himself. When he asked, he had already injected chakra into the Sharingan. For a moment, the Sharingan turned red. Naruto felt that the vision in front of him suddenly became better, and it was clearer than before. Is this the vision of the Sharingan? Naruto continued to inject chakra. The vision was strengthened again, and the scene in front of him seemed to be suddenly still. Naruto turned to look at Medicine Master Pocket. In Naruto's view, Medicine Master Pocket was motionless like a stone sculpture. No, he also moved, but very slowly. Is this the dynamic vision of the Uchiha clan? Increasing the injection of chakra, Naruto and Medicine Master Pocket's eyes inadvertently met, and the next moment, a spiritual space was established spontaneously. The surrounding scenery disappeared. No. To be precise, in front of Naruto's eyes, there was a world separated from the real world. Naruto's right eye still saw the scene in the laboratory. His left eye was pitch black, and there was only the world of 2 people. The genjutsu was automatically triggered. Naruto quickly reacted to what happened. Then with a thought, he controlled the world in the genjutsu with interest. Flip. The world in front of him was flipped over with Naruto's thought. Medicine Master Pocket appeared in front of Naruto with his head upside down. Flip and turn into bungee jumping. The pitch-black scenery disappeared, and a modern bungee jumping scene appeared in front of him. That's what Naruto used to do. Change. Remove the modern scenery and replace it with a cliff. Before Medicine Master Pocket could react, the scenery in front of him changed again. Medicine Master Pocket was hanging on a rope. Naruto smiled, "Don't worry, there's no danger to your life, I'm just doing an experiment." Saying that, Naruto pushed Medicine Master Pocket on the cliff. Medicine Master Pocket fell off the cliff. Whoosh! Whoosh! The ropes on the cliff were pulled up, making sounds in the air. Below, Should I put something down? A sea of fire? Or a crocodile? Maybe a crocodile. Crocodiles are scarier, and biting half of a person's body is a masterpiece. Naruto was thinking. When the rope reached the end, Medicine Master Pocket's face was only a little bit away from the bottom of the river. The speed was getting slower and slower, and the rope was straightened so that it didn't touch the river. Then the rope on his body began to be pulled up under the elastic force. Safe. Medicine Master Pocket was pulled up by the rope, but a crocodile suddenly jumped out from under the water. It opened its mouth and cut. Poochie. Blood spurted out like a rain of blood. Medicine Master Pocket's upper body was directly bitten off. Naruto on the cliff was also stunned. His original intention was just to use the crocodile as a scenery. Was it because of his unintentional ridicule? Sin, that was really just a figment of his imagination. Naruto stopped continuing to provide chakra to the Sharingan, and the genjutsu in front of him was removed. How does it feel? Is the illusion made by dojutsu different from the spiritual world? Naruto laughed and intended to fool his mistake. However, Medicine Master Pocket fell straight down, and Naruto raised his hand to support him. But he didn't expect that the surface of Medicine Master Pocket's body suddenly turned into ashes, and Medicine Master Pocket's appearance disappeared, and what he caught was a strange corpse. It was Medicine Master Pocket's death row prisoner. Medicine Master Pocket's Edo Tensei was destroyed just like that? The Uchiha clan's genjutsu isn't that strong, right? Or did he use Koto Amatsukami unknowingly? Naruto was shocked. This was what he prepared for Obito. At the same time, the reincarnation ritual of the Great Snow Mountain Research Institute to revive Medicine Master Pocket was triggered the moment Medicine Master Pocket died. System prompt: Medicine Master Pocket has died. Would you like to revive Medicine Master Pocket? If you want to reincarnate, please specify a death row prisoner. Naruto chose a death row prisoner room 302. He clicked to confirm the reincarnation. The Edo Tensei circle was activated. The circle was divided into two parts. One was the material room where Medicine Master Pocket was stored, and the other was death row prisoner room 302. The death row inmate of 302 is a bearded ninja with a scar on his face. At the moment when the spell was activated, the identity card on the death row prisoner was activated. The ninja was immediately fixed in place, motionless. Then a black circle appeared under his feet and linked to the identity card. Ashes from all directions floated in from the void and covered the person's body. Soon the person's body and face turned into the gentle Medicine Master Pocket. After reviving Medicine Master Pocket, Naruto checked the Sharingan again. Please don't use Koto Amatsukami. Naruto prayed to the gods with the most pious heart in his life. Chapter 476. Naruto stared at himself in the ice mirror. The newly transplanted 3-Tomo Sharingan on his left eye changed after the infusion of chakra and turned into a square, surrounding the pupil. Then on each side of the square, sharp horns protruded one after another, turning into a shuriken-like shape. Naruto has a hunch that if he continues to inject chakra, it seems to trigger the ability of this eye, that is, Koto Amatsukami. Naruto breathed a sigh of relief. It seems that he didn't use Koto Amatsukami. That's right, Koto Amatsukami's ability is only to change people's thoughts. Yakushi's pocket. It should be because the limit is approaching. After confirming that he didn't use Koto Amatsukami, Naruto's heart also relaxed. He carefully felt the consumption of chakra. Manjikyu Sharingan, according to the measurement unit designed by Naruto, is about 10 chakra per second. No, chakra's consumption is increasing. In the first 10 seconds, it was about 10 chakra per second. Then it increased by 1 chakra per minute. 12 chakra, 13 chakra, 14 chakra. There shouldn't be an upper limit, right? Naruto looked at the Manjikyu Sharingan in the ice mirror. At this time, the eye was glowing red, a little evil. Chakra's consumption continued to increase and finally stopped at 20 chakra. 20 chakra per second? This kind of consumption is probably enough to suck someone dry. But for Naruto, it's not a big problem. Not to mention his own strong body, 9 tails is enough to deal with it, not to mention the Great Snow Mountain Research Institute behind him that can synthesize chakra in real time. In the state of Manjikyu Sharingan, Naruto can see the flow of chakra. The runes left on the wall, and Yakushi's pocket, which is walking towards him through the wall. It's not very clear, but he can vaguely feel chakra. The Sharingan is indeed stronger than my original Sharingan, but I don't know what the world is like in the Byakugan and Rinnegan. Rolling his eyes. Well, at least he knew about it. In the past, he had shared his vision with Hinata. Naruto deactivated his Manjikyu Sharingan. In his field of vision, Medicine Master's pockets seemingly still pace quickened quite a bit. Naruto calculated the chakra consumption of the 3 Tomo Ru. It was only 1 unit per second. Of course, this word is only relative to the Manjikyu Sharingan. Chakra is a B-class ninjutsu, ordinary people can't afford it. This was also the reason why Kaka didn't use the Sharingan unless it was an emergency. Naruto shifted his gaze to the culture tank. In the culture tank, his eye was floating in the culture liquid. What should he do with this eye? Naruto was afraid that it would be malnourished. Naruto thought about it, selected a specific object, and then summoned it. Then Danzo's right arm appeared in front of Naruto. Inserted in the pot, the plant form Sharingan arm. The Sharingan on it turned as if it had a consciousness, looking at Naruto's newly transplanted left eye, Shirsue's eye. I'll introduce you to a new neighbor, you can't bully it, or I'll crush you directly. Will the Sharingan bully his eye? It shouldn't. Those eyes seem to have their own thoughts, but after transplanting Shirsue's Sharingan, Naruto was sure that there was no other consciousness in it. Naruto pulled out Danzo's arm, and the plant form arm turned back into flesh. Naruto installed his vertical pupil in the corner where Shirsue's Sharingan was originally installed. Unlike the Sharingan of the other Uchiha clan, Naruto's Sharingan didn't move after it was installed. Instead, it stayed there motionless. Ordinary eyes. Naruto sighed helplessly. At this time, the other eyes began to turn around, looking at the new neighbor from all angles. Don't bully it, Naruto said, and put the arm back in the pot, and then with a snap of his finger, the pot and the arm were sent back to where they came from. On the 12th floor of the Great Snow Mountain Research Institute, on the sunny desk, the 10 Sharingan continued to look at the position of Naruto's eye from all corners. Naruto's eye was motionless. After a long time, a spiritual force was sent out from one of the Sharingan, tentatively approaching Naruto's eye. Naruto's eyes moved, gurgling as he looked at the eyes that were trying to test him. The bark-like eyelids narrowed slightly. Then the two sides were in a stalemate for a long time, and then the second eye joined in. Naruto's eye, the eyelids on Danzo's arm trembled. Their eyes shifted to the second eye that provoked them. Then the third, the fourth, the fifth. The 10 Sharingan joined in. Naruto's pupil was dull for a moment. It slowly spread, as if it lost consciousness. At the same time, it trembled a little, as if it was enduring great pain. His eyes also dimmed. The 10 Sharingan continued to attack with spiritual force. Naruto's white eyes burst out with blood. It was like a captured beast, struggling in the trap. Inside, the capillaries of Naruto's eyes desperately took root in Danzo's arm, wriggling to extract nutrients and chakra. It seemed that it wanted to resist the attack from the Sharingan. Naruto didn't know about the battle between the eyeballs. After confirming that the transplant of the Sharingan was successful, Naruto's soul left the body and returned to the body of the flying squirrel. The Koto Amatsukami Sharingan is just one of the things that a Beto needs to do. For example, an environment that can imprison a Beto. For example, just the right time. The moonlight shone in through the vent above his head, and Naruto could see the surrounding scene with the moonlight. The funny thing is, Obito was hanging upside down. It wasn't a sleeping bag. Instead, he was tied up and hung upside down. Looking at the rope tied to Hayden's left hand, the other end of the rope was connected to Hayden's left hand. Then this is not a rope, but a tentacle of Hayden's left arm. Hayden and Obito are playing tentacle play? What happened during the time when his soul was away? Naruto blinked. The most amazing thing is that Obito fell asleep in this uncomfortable position. What should I say? Is he really a ninja? Or is he really Obito? Or is his physical strength too weak, so he fell asleep? Naruto thought maliciously. Then he stretched his body with a long yawn. It's late, go back to sleep. Naruto closed his eyes. To be honest, this is indeed a good opportunity to imprison Obito. But Naruto knew that this imprisonment is not strong enough. It's just a joke, so it can't be taken seriously. Naruto took a deep breath. Thinking of what to do, Naruto was a little nervous. Should I say a prayer now? I pray that Hirako is strong enough. If he's too weak, Naruto's plan will be very difficult to carry out. Chapter 477. Great Snow Mountain Research Institute. On Danzo's arm, Naruto's eyes narrowed into slits, like a tired old man who was about to fall asleep. But it didn't give up, it was still struggling. Seeing that it was about to close, it stubbornly opened a little bit. But this seemed to have exhausted its last bit of strength, and its eyelids sank again, and finally closed. The moment Naruto closed his eyes, the other Sharingans rolled around, and the eyeballs looked at each other, as if celebrating the victory of a battle. However, at this moment, the Sharingan closest to Naruto's eyeball suddenly froze. As if frightened, it stared straight ahead. Then it struggled violently. Scarlet blood vessels on the white of the Sharingan burst out, and densely extended to the pupil. The white of the eye was replaced by red blood vessels at a speed visible to the naked eye. The dense blood vessels squirmed, as if a squirming Adam's apple was madly swallowing something. The pupil of the Sharingan gradually lost its luster, and the 3 Tomo marks on it faded and disappeared one by one. Finally, the eyelids on the eyeball relaxed and slowly closed. Then the same thing happened to the neighboring Sharingan. The next day, the sun was shining. Naruto and the others finally arrived at the border between the land of earth and the land of fire, a place called Mount Sumeru. This was originally a place of great controversy. It was disputed whether this mountain belonged to the land of fire or the land of earth. But because it was a barren mountain, it was eventually left unsettled and turned into a border. This is it, Fei Duan muttered. He was standing in front of a desert, and behind him was the last green land. Next to Hayden, Hoodlum, who was wearing a whirlpool mask, yawned and said, "Have we arrived?" Hayden looked at Hoodlum. "You also protect yourself, I won't be responsible if you die." Hoodlum said with a guilty conscience, "That senpai, I just joined, and I'm doing an SS-level mission. I don't seem to be competent. How about I wait outside for your triumphant return? You see, my combat power is mediocre, even if I go, I will only cause trouble for you. When the time comes, it might even hinder you and affect your performance." The more Hoodlum spoke, the more guilty he felt, and the softer his voice became. Naruto glanced at him, his heart full of disdain. To be able to pretend to be a coward to this extent, he was also a talent. After hearing this, Fei Duan frowned and looked a little hesitant. It seemed like he was thinking, it couldn't be, right? Could it be that Fei Duan was really planning to agree? That wouldn't do. Obito must fight with Hiruhu, otherwise, where can he find the opportunity to do so? We haven't met any enemies yet, and you're already planning to slack off? Why don't you directly withdraw from Akatsuki? Even if you can't support the wall, there should be a limit. In order to prevent Fei Duan from agreeing, Naruto scolded him seriously. Hoodlum quivered and stood up straight. Then, he gave a 90-degree bow in apology. Senior is right. Junior was wrong. Naruto, how should he evaluate it? Was he joking? Or a real man knows when to yield and when to stand tall? Or perhaps, a drama queen? After this episode, the 3 of them walked into Mount Sumeru. But the moment they entered, a strange bird suddenly flew up and let out a strange cry. They looked up. The strange bird flew very high, circled above their heads, and flew into the depths of Mount Sumeru. Hoodlum looked in the direction of the strange bird and looked at the sky. I feel like we've been exposed. That bird should have gone to deliver a letter. Then he turned to look at Fei Duan and Naruto. Senior, what should we do next? Why don't we hide first and go in later? Fei Duan said indifferently, if we've been discovered, then we've been discovered. It's more convenient this way, and we don't have to investigate. Hoodlum was stunned. Fei Duan continued to walk into the mountain. Senior, we're going in like this? Fei Duan continued to walk forward, using his actions to tell Hoodlum, yes, we're going in like this. The strange bird went quickly and came back quickly. When it came back, there was a person on it. That person looked down at Naruto and the others from the sky. Fei Duan looked up and was eager to try. Our enemy is here. Hoodlum looked ahead. There's someone in front. Just as Hoodlum finished speaking, a woman with a hot figure and sexy clothes appeared in front of everyone. There were 2 big dogs beside her. The dogs were very fierce, their mouths wide open, and saliva flowed down their sharp teeth. The saliva secretion was so exaggerated, indicating that the dogs had already treated Naruto and the others as food. You called me an enemy? Then it looks like you're not guests. The woman's voice was quite sweet, with a hint of charm. However, she seemed to have seen the identity of the Fire Cloud Windbreaker and was not in a hurry to attack. She asked, to be able to make you call me an enemy, I want to ask, how did we offend you? Hoodlum scratched the back of his head and replied foolishly, actually, you didn't offend us. Fei Duan turned to look at Hoodlum, and Hoodlum choked back his words. Fei Duan said, indeed, we didn't offend you. We accepted a mission to get rid of you. It's that simple. With that, Fei Duan's left hand instantly turned into a sickle tentacle and shot towards the woman's heart. At the same time, at the moment Fei Duan attacked, a huge stick slashed towards Fei Duan. It wasn't the woman who launched the attack, but the others hidden in the dark. This stick. Naruto felt that this stick was familiar, because it was very similar to the one of Sandaime Naruto. That is, the Ape King transformed into the Rui Jingu Bang. Could it be? Orochimaru is here. Orochimaru reincarnated Sandaime Naruto? Fei Duan's body flexibility was far beyond that of ordinary taijutsu ninjas, and she easily dodged the stick with her legs. At the same time, Naruto also saw the person holding the stick. It was a young woman, not Sandaime Naruto. Did she recognize the wrong stick? When Naruto hesitated, he saw an eye on the stick. That eye was also looking at him. Naruto was shocked. This stick was transformed from a living thing. Could it be that besides the Ape King, there are other ape demons that can turn into sticks? So he recognized the wrong stick? Boom! The stick hit the ground, and the rock cracked and collapsed. This blow was very strong. Immediately afterward, the strange bird in the sky circled down, flapping its wings, and several feathers flew over. Tut tut! Tut tut! The sharp feathers pierced the ground. Then, the runes on top of it lit up, and it exploded. As if knowing the power of the Akatsuki, as soon as the battle started, the woman with the 2 dogs directly used her strongest ninja beast. Hand seals, Onimaru technique. Then, something strange happened. The 2 hounds fused with the woman. At the same time, the person in the sky also made hand seals, Onimaru technique. Hoodlum exclaimed, wow! Human and beast fusion. You're tuning in to the Narrate and Escape YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.